Welcome back to the kickoff, and today you might see this little mark on my head. Cut myself shaving. It's not a Glasgow kiss or anything like that. I haven't been fighting.
We did have a quick fight.
No, don't worry. We're all right. Today we got the lads back for a game of mega proportion. The Chelsea boys, I can feel the tension around the table, right?
Yes.
Because a lot rests on today, innit? This is kind of not a defining moment, but like if things are going to start turning, you're going to get that Champions League spot. It's got to start today.
I would say so. And I think if you look at the run of fixtures that Chelsea have got, our next 6 fixtures, if you take maybe Brentford out of that, and you know, even they've got a win today, it's scary. So I'm not saying that, you know, it all depends on getting a win today. But off the back of the last few performances we've seen, you know, if you include the League Cup win, we've got 3 wins in 3 matches. If we can go and even get as much as a draw today, it's going to hold us in really good stead mentally approaching this next little run of fixtures. But obviously, we're all hoping for a win. Well, Chelsea fans are.
Jacob, what you saying, mate?
I'm nervy, man. I'm a little bit nervy as an Arsenal fan.
Huge result last time out against Man City.
Massive, yeah.
You can't then follow that up. I mean, as much as Chelsea are Chelsea, they're not really Chelsea anymore. They're like this unknown quantity, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing looking at Chelsea, and I'm looking at that lineup again, and it's like, I don't really know who to be scared of. Do you know what I mean? I don't even mean that in like a
Can you answer
way.
that, Josh?
No, but I don't mean that in a muggy way.
Imagine.
I think you should be very scared of
What
it.
I'm saying is, I'm used to coming to Stamford Bridge and you're scared of someone. Whether that was Drogba, whether that's Diego Costa. For years, you've had dangerous players when you turn up at the bridge. I'm looking at that team today, I'm a bit like, okay, yeah, all right, sweet. And then I look at our team, I look at our front line. First time this season we've managed to start Jesus, Saka and Martinelli together. If I was a Chelsea fan, I'd be a lot more scared by that than you're telling me I should be worried about Madrid.
There's a lot of
serious
narrative
about the Mudryk?
No, there's a lot of narratives today, aren't there? Like you've got obviously Havertz isn't even starting, but he could come on and make a difference. You've got Jorginho in the middle.
If Havertz comes on and scores, I'm laughing so
Yeah,
hard.
but then it goes the other way where you've got Mudryk, where we've had so much banter from lots of different fans, but let's also say Arsenal fans as well, because like a lot of Arsenal fans are saying, I've heard this quite a bit. They're going, we're actually quite glad that we didn't get him, and I find that just mental because like I feel he would improve your team even now. I mean
really?
that.
Well,
yeah,
so,
I mean that.
Looking at that Arsenal starting 11 today, you think Mudryk would improve that?
Yeah, because like for me, Gabriel Jesus isn't like nailed down as a number 9. Martinelli could easily drop in and play in there. You could easily move Mudryk over to one of the wings. Like I feel that front three could be a little bit more malleable than the way it goes. Let's also be honest, right? Gabriel Jesus isn't an out-and-out number 9. So I feel that Mudryk could play in that front three quite easily.
So you think you could take Jesus out of that front 3, Martinelli through the middle and put Mudryk on the left?
I think Mudryk is one of those players that everyone is just sleeping on at the moment. And I like it because it means that he can come under the radar.
I did see him score a goal for the internationals.
This is the thing.
It was absolutely outrageously good.
People look and look. I'm not
trolling you.
I'm going to say this.
You're looking at me like
I'm going to say this right now. Like I love it when people doubt particular players because I love that narrative of a player going and taking a game by the scruff of the neck and going, I'm actually going to sort of do something that tells everyone.
It's been working on Almiron from me a lot.
Yeah, but like Mudryk,
I doubt him every week. He scores.
Mudryk the other day, right? He plays for Ukraine. It's fair enough. It's Malta, right? It's not the best team in the world, but he smacks it. He smacks it from 35 yards out top bins.
No matter
it was
what
an unbelievable shot. Yeah, and look, if Haaland scores that goal or Cristiano Ronaldo scores that goal, we all go, oh yeah, of course they're that good.
But is Mudryk really the big game player that you guys are looking to?
Mate,
we don't know.
I started this conversation by saying I'm used to coming to Stamford Bridge and being scared of a player. If you're telling me that the one is Mudryk and we're talking about a 30-yard goal against Malta, and what goals has he scored for Chelsea?
Brilliant goal against Fulham the other day. Took it down, lovely, slotted it home. Only took him about 27 attempts. Brilliant.
Listen, I liked the look of him as a player. We looked at him in January, as you say, right? I like the look of him. He's a project player. He's he played 20 times in the Ukraine?
Yeah, it wasn't
He's
a lot.
project player. If you're saying to me, could he come into the Arsenal team and do something? I'm not even saying this in a muggy way. I look at who comes off the bench for us when we have to sit a winger down. Trossard, Reece Nelson. He's in that category.
Come on, I think
you can't. Yeah, he's better than Reece Nelson.
You wanted to buy him a minute ago.
I don't know if he's better than Trossard. I don't know if he's better than Trossard.
Let's rewind the clock. You were literally posting compilations of how good he was, about pictures in his room where he had Arsenal T-shirts up there. Like literally, like you were twerking him as being one of the best players. No. I do like the revisionism of certain fan bases.
Let me say something as the impartial.
Talk about Gabriel Jesus in the same category.
Wait.
You don't even rate Gabriel
Let me say something as the impartial, but even though I hate both your clubs like a lot,
really impartial.
But I'll be real. I actually think Martinelli is better, and I can't see Mudryk getting into that front line at all over those three that are there now. I actually can't see it.
15 Premier League goals.
And I
last
think his
season, wasn't it?
potential with Mudryk, because we've seen him play. We saw him play in the Champions League. We know what he's capable of, but he hasn't shown it at Chelsea. Whereas Martinelli, no one wants to play against Martinelli. No one wants to play against Saka. And Jesus, even though he isn't prolific in front of goal, he's a handful. You don't really want to play against him either.
I
It's
don't
a
even
long
know if
day.
Arteta really fancies Gabriel Jesus. Let's be honest. Nketiah's been playing the last few years.
But
I know
he's still a
been
handful,
injured.
though.
I know he's been injured, but like I don't know if Arteta really fancies Gabriel Jesus.
I think we'll buy a striker.
There
I
you
think
go.
I think
That tells you
Arsenal will buy
everything you
a
need to know.
striker. I will also say Jesus had 10 goals in 20 games last season. That's one in two. That's a serious number. That's decent. I'm not saying that Gabriel Jesus is the best number 9 on the planet. I think, I'll hold my hands up now, I think we can win the Premier League with playing him at number 9. I do. Now, Mudryk, yeah, he might get there one day. Let's talk about him and Trossard. Is he a better player than Trossard? Trossard's got, I think, 9 assists for us since joining in January.
I'm having Trossard right now.
I
I don't even
think-
like to agree with Arsenal, but I'm having Trossard.
Look,
But do you not think if Mudryk had have been managed by Arteta, and this is almost arguing your point by paying Arsenal a compliment, but do you not think if Mudryk had have been managed from the start when he first came in by Arteta, we'd maybe be looking at him different? I know it's a case of,
definitely.
you know, if my auntie had a set of bollocks, she'd be my uncle, but it's...
Of course, but at the same time, when you're talking about a Chelsea team that have spent the money that you have...
How
and
much?
It's a lot of money.
How much?
It's a lot of money. What are we talking about? Half a bill? Is it something like that?
It was a billion. It was a
Is it a
billion.
billion? Is it a billion?
Have we spent a billion?
I've never heard that, Joey. I've never heard anyone say that about us. I honestly don't think that's true.
That's
What
news to
about
me.
the Raheem Sterling situation? Because he came good in the last game that Chelsea won 4-1 against Burnley.
Yeah.
Scored a couple of goals and had the best game of the season that he's had. Is he not the guy? He's playing in the false 9. Should he not be the one to lead the team? Should he not be the one who you guys should be? He's the best played player at the club. So he should be the talisman here.
I would actually say that maybe being in that false 9 position doesn't suit him that much. Obviously, there was a potential for him to play there against Fulham when Jackson was banned, and we opted for Brower, who was obviously coming back from an injury, not really match ready. But I wouldn't say Mudryk, I wouldn't say Sterling. I would say the player that you've got to watch out for, if we're looking at anyone along that front line, is Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer is the player that we were crying out for ages. Like, Cole Palmer, to have been let go for 40 million by Man City, is going to end up proving to be an absolute snip price that we've got him at, because we were looking at our problems in that front line, at our creativity problems, and for a long time we were saying, right, we just need Nkunku back. Trust me, Nkunku will have his spot when he comes back, but for the time being, Cole Palmer's proven himself as one of our most influential players over the last few matches, and I think that that's the main player here that Arsenal have got to look at today. Saying that as well, he has already technically got on the goal sheet against Arsenal this season. Scored a nice goal in the Community Shield.
It's a really
So he'll be confident coming up against that defence, and I do think that that's a player. Ideally, I would have very much liked to have seen Nicholas Jackson start in this match. That's me laying my cards on the table. I would have liked to have played.
Why do you think he hasn't?
I just don't think he's ready fitness-wise.
Oh.
He injured his wrist. We've all been there, and I just don't think he's ready. Yeah, fitness-wise. But I think the main thing, like, if I'm being completely honest as a Chelsea fan right now, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, you know, we got better players than you, and we're at a better moment in time than you, because at this sort of moment in our evolution as a team, we're not. But if I'm drawing confidence from somewhere, I'm going to say, look, we're on a decent little run of form. I'm not going to shout from the rooftops about it, but we are on a decent little run of form. But the main thing is this. It's the emotional come down, because every time we see in history, like especially recently, we see a team win such a pivotal, massive monumental match like we've seen Arsenal go and win against Man City, you can always guarantee there'll be a little bit of a drop-off. We were sat watching the Newcastle match the other day. Before a ball was even kicked, you said to me, we ain't winning today. And in that match...
Because of the PSG
game, Newcastle were lucky to get
It was
a
an
point.
international break in between.
That was the one saving grace for Arsenal, maybe, is that the international break could have come at a good time.
It could have, but then you were saying earlier about Arsenal not being great after an international break as well. And when you look at it, like, say, for example, even last season, Arsenal, do you remember, like, when Nketiah scored that 90th minute winner against Man United, it went absolutely mental. And then you didn't win for 3 matches. And even other teams like Man United, they get their first trophy under Ten Hag, get beat 7-0 the next week by Liverpool.
My biggest hope for Chelsea today would be the midfield battle. I'm looking at this midfield with Rice and Odegaard, fantastic. But Jorginho's looked suspect at times.
I'm surprised that's not Partey. I'm really surprised.
Why is it not? Can I
Just to be clear, Caicedo and Enzo and Gallagher, there's a lot of energy there.
There
Good
isn't.
legs
There isn't when they've just flown in from South America.
Well-
they literally landed 24 hours ago.
Right.
Whoa,
Forget what I've just
whoa,
said, 'cause
whoa,
I'm talking
no.
shit.
Yeah.
No, there's energy for days there.
There should be though. Like if we're looking at just like the midfield battle is so key in these big games. I think you guys are one of the few teams when you look at over 100 million spent on two of those each, and then Gallagher, who I think has been pretty good this season. You guys should be able to push them a lot in that midfield. So I think you've got a chance there.
I think our best performance of the season so far, regardless of the good little run we've been on, came on the opening day against Liverpool. And I genuinely do think that when you have a team that don't fear you, and Arsenal won't fear us, like at the end of the day, this is, I don't think you can ever look at a Chelsea-Arsenal match and say that we're looked at as a banana skin type thing for Arsenal, but they are the favourites to beat us with the bookies for a reason. They are most people's team to win for a reason. And for that reason, I'm not saying they can't slip up to Chelsea, but if you're going to go on and establish yourself as the sort of top contender for this Premier League title, they need to be winning today. They need to at least be taking a draw today. So I think that there's a very good chance today that they're just going to come and they're going to attack us. They're going to play free-flowing football against us. And I think when a team does that, we're going to have a good opportunity to win. I would even go as far to say at the moment where we've seen Chelsea struggle, and people are shooting me down for this, but I think it's just as likely Chelsea win a match like an Arsenal, a Liverpool, a game like that, than it is we win a match like a Forest or a Wolves or a game like that.
You've been very hit and miss this season. I'm looking back through the results. Obviously, you've beaten Luton, which was one of the better results this season. But then you lost, like, not long after that to Nottingham Forest. So to your point, it is really hit and miss. And I think we're going to find out a lot about the character and how far Poch is getting with them at this point, and the mentality. Like, you've talked about this a lot, Craig. Like, the mentality of this Arsenal team is looking more and more like title challengers. We don't really know what the mentality is of Chelsea yet. Like, and these are the games where we find that out. Before we move on, just want to say, Sir Bobby Charlton died today.
Yeah.
Huge legend of the game. Manchester United legend, obviously. Born up north, not too far from where I was born, actually. England legend. It's just a sad day, and for Man United have been going through quite a bit lately as well. I wonder if that'll impact the players tonight. Actually,
I think it'll inspire them. Definitely. We looked at the facts that, and I know this was just our opinion, but we were saying they were inspired by a David Beckham documentary. They're definitely going to be inspired tonight. So
also, Sir Alex Ferguson.
And Cathy,
Obviously,
losing
her
Cathy.
passing away, and then you saw McTominay said after the game, he said the David Beckham thing, and then also Sir Alex Ferguson as well. It kind of inspires the players to push, and I think it definitely will.
Arguably the biggest legend in Manchester United's history.
I think so. I think easily. Probably.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting game to watch. I hate these late Saturday night kickoffs.
Do you?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I feel like it kind of fucks, like when we're trying to plan shows out, I'm like, wow, what are we doing here? Do you know what I mean? I'd like to, but going back to the game, we've got Arteta on our screens right now.
do you know Poch has never lost a home league game to Arsenal?
Really?
I think he had 6 home league games as Spurs manager, something like that.
Did you see the team he had back then?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
He had some good.
It was
teams
some
back
good
then.
players.
Yeah, and Arsenal weren't as good as they are now.
No,
back
we-
then as
yeah,
well,
and
to
the
be
best we've been in
fair.
20
What's your
years.
best memories of this game, lads? Like, favourite game?
My one for me is an absolute easy one. So my favourite memory ever, Chelsea versus Arsenal, and everyone will go the 1000th match, Wenger's 1000th match. It's not that for me. Growing up, right, Chelsea didn't used to beat like the big teams all that much, right? But we did get wins over Man United. We've done them 5-0 once. We did used to get wins here and there against Liverpool and whatnot. When I was a kid, we just never beat Arsenal, man. Like, we never, ever beat them. And then we sort of started to level up our performances. We were getting closer. We were getting 2 draws with them, stuff like that. Wayne Bridge at Highbury, Wednesday night, Champions League, comes down the wing, slots one home, puts us through to the semi-final against Monaco. And mate, that was for me the moment when I was like, right, we're up there with Arsenal now. We're finally there and deserve it and can compete with them. And that was the match for me. It was 2-1 Chelsea, and it'll always be a massive
You
one.
won the Champions League that year, didn't you?
We
Did
didn't.
they-
No,
did they-
we,
you got to the final.
Man United.
no. We should have won it. We went out to
Barcelona.
Monaco.
Yeah.
Went out to Monaco. They obviously lost to Porto, which is crazy to think at the start of
that was-
that tournament. You've got Galacticos, you've
was
got all these
crazy.
big teams, and then you've got Monaco and Porto in the final. But I mean, we took Mourinho after, so yeah, we'll take it.
That
We
felt
basically
like a
won it.
final, though. I remember that quarter final. It's like you looked around and you were like, God, whichever team
Clear
wins
run of
this
it.
could have a clear run.
What's
of
your
it,
best
yeah.
memory of it?
This fixture,
Favorite one.
maybe the FA Cup win. What was it, 2017? When we beat you guys in the FA Cup?
Is that,
Yeah.
yeah, was
I
gonna say,
think so.
thought it was
Yeah,
more
it
recent
was.
one.
It was. Yeah, that felt big. It was near the end of Wenger. It felt big, that one. It's hard because we've had some dreadful fucking times against you. We've had some
Drogba
bad-
started terrorising.
Mate, Drogba was horrible, man.
But this is
I
the
had
thing.
nightmares about Drogba.
I heard a
He was
stat the
horrible.
other day that we didn't beat you between 1995 and 2005.
Yeah.
Well,
Which
yeah,
was-
that's it.
which
I
was
was born in
mental.
'94, so that proves it. We
Yeah.
never used to beat
But then
them.
it flipped the other way around.
Shit.
It flipped the other way around completely. Then we went through a period where we
What
beat.
changed?
Yeah,
I'm trying to
Abramovich
think, what
changed.
changed? Oh, yeah, that was it. Money.
Yeah, that was
Well-
it. The oligarch.
The results from today, lads, just looking at some of the big results. Man City 2, Brighton 1. And in the last 5 minutes, Akanji gets sent off
Yeah.
for Man City. Like literally 90 plus 5, he was sent off. To be fair, Man City haven't been great lately. They lost 3 matches on the bounce. So they've got back to winning ways. But when you look at the stats, 10 shots to 5. Like, I mean, look.
At home as well.
Yeah, it wasn't like your usual Man City performance, just looking at the stats. I didn't watch the game.
Remember, Brighton are meant to be this sort of elite top 6 side now.
They've not been
Yeah,
great
but
the
they're-
last
They've
few
been
weeks,
losing a
so,
lot lately,
yeah.
haven't
yeah,
they?
yeah.
Like
They
they've
have.
really
They've been
picked-
conceding a lot of goals.
Yeah, something's happened there where they got all of that praise, and then as has happened, sometimes teams just go off it.
I think
off
no clean sheets in the Premier League, Brighton. Man.
Yeah,
But
but
that's why that statistic about 10 shots surprises me, because Brighton are the kind of team that Man City should just go through.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They've not got 10 men behind the ball. They're not trying to block them off. They're the kind of team that usually you go, God, you can't play like that against Man City. So the fact that Man City are still, I think they missed De Bruyne. We've spoke
Yeah.
so much over the last month or so about, they miss Rodri, Rodri's this, Rodri's that. Mate, De Bruyne is the guy for them, even above Haaland for me. There's this whole conversation about the Ballon d'Or. Is it Messi, is it Haaland? Mate, De Bruyne is above Haaland.
Is he going to come back though and be at the level that we expect De Bruyne to be? That's the thing. I have a sneaky feeling that De Bruyne will never
he's
be
had a
that
lot
level,
of injuries
that
as well
level
now.
again.
They
How old
do
is he
mount
now?
up.
He's 32.
Yeah, he's getting on as
Yeah.
well.
They're due a little rebuild there, aren't they, City? They need to rebuild that midfield at some point, because that sort of Gundogan, De Bruyne, Rodri thing, that's phasing out now.
And Mahrez, bro. I
yeah,
I was
exactly.
pointing that out a lot again when they lost to Arsenal. I was like,
Yeah.
you can't lose this many clutch players in the final minutes of a game, and they looked out of ideas a bit against.
Yeah,
teams.
they
and
did, they
that's
did.
where the Gundogan and Mahrez, they just lighted up on
Start
fire.
taking shots. I mean, look, this summer, I think they're going to spend big money
Oh, yeah.
to replace those players. And if you're a team that's got a really good attacking midfielder and you're worried about losing them, you should be worried about Man City.
Yeah.
I don't know how much they can. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
know.
they're definitely into Gamoras. Pep Guardiola will love a Gamoras. It's got Pep all over him.
I don't know how much they can spend though. The eyes of the FFP guys are watching Man
But do you
City
know why
like a
I
hawk.
think they'll be all right? Is because they just make so much profit on this side. Like if you look at the young Cole Palmer,
Who are they going to sell? Who are they going to sell
What I'm
next
saying
summer?
is they've been selling players and not replacing them.
They had to sell Cole Palmer this season to pass the FFP
Really?
regulations. Yeah.
I didn't realise it was that tight.
Yeah.
Because they seem to have made a lot of money in a short space of time, but then they've been spending money for years. So the problem is we don't get to see the balance sheets. We don't.
No.
So we're sort of guessing. Other than that, by the way, obviously Newcastle won 4-0. I did call a bit of a hammering early on in the game because we looked confident, fresh, don't look tired from Champions League. We obviously got Dortmund coming up on Wednesday. I'm feeling bullish about it, but also worried because I think that crowd advantage might not be quite the same. We're going to talk about Tonali later on and all the gambling and the Newcastle Saudi sponsorship deals that are coming in now. Other results today, Forest drew 2-2 with Luton. I think Forest were winning 2-0.
That's a good result for Luton. Very good result.
Hey, I was
Especially
saying
if they're 2-0 down.
Luton aren't that bad. Luton aren't this mean team that everyone thinks they are, man. All season long, people are going, oh, well, there's some bad teams like Luton. There's some teams that are definitely going to go down like Luton. Mate, Luton are better than Sheffield United. I'll say it right now. I think Luton are better than Bournemouth. I think you could say Luton are better than Burnley. That's
They're
three
only 2
teams.
points off Everton. They're only 2 points
Burnley,
off
Burnley
Luton
lost
are
3-0 today to Brentford, and even Brentford have looked shite lately, to be honest with you. Bournemouth lost 1-2 to Wolves. And Liverpool won 2-0 against Everton. Interesting game because you had a sending off for for Everton. Went Liverpool's way. It was 2 yellow cards. One of them was more debatable.
Do you think?
I'm
What,
not
Ashley Young
saying
one?
that.
Yeah.
It was debated heavily
What do
by
we
the
think?
commentators, by Twitter. Everyone
Yeah.
debated it. So that's not my opinion. But yeah.
What do you think? Like, what do you guys?
I think the second one was a yellow card.
Yeah, definitely.
I think he
What's the first one?
He brought him down when they were
Yeah.
through attacking. It was a yellow card.
They were both yellow cards, I think.
Yeah.
I think.
I think that was a
So the
I think-
controversy comes in though with Kanate.
Yes.
He gave away 2 fouls, which you could have argued, if we're going by the book, should be 2 yellow cards.
Yeah.
Klopp immediately hooks him when he gets
Like,
away with it.
straight away.
So, that when a manager does that, he knows he's got away with it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then they get the penalty. I'm not saying that the referee was giving decisions to Liverpool unjustly. Like, I think it was a pretty fair. A lot of them were fair calls, but
I am saying it.
But Dyche was livid, and Everton will be pretty pissed off that it wasn't.
You should get a replay now.
Are any of us really going to sit here and say that after what happened with Liverpool, we didn't have some sort of feeling that things were going to start going in their way ever so slightly? I'm not saying it's going to be kept up for the stretch of a 38-game season, but I'm just saying in those couple of matches that followed, if there was anything where you could give it, you couldn't give it, you know it's going to
No,
go in Liverpool's
normality's been restored now. They were getting all the
Do you
decisions.
think the lawsuit will be called
think.
off?
Yeah.
Do you know when they were talking? Like,
Yeah.
they were talking a bit big time, weren't they?
I felt like they've always got those decisions, like we were talking about Liverpool, and then one game where it really went against them, they were upset, and then once again, normality's been restored.
Talking about the bottom of the league, lads, Sheffield United, Bournemouth and Burnley make up the bottom 3 on 6 points, 6 points, 7 points. So Luton are currently out of the bottom 3, with Everton just above them on a point. So it's really just a question of who is shitter, isn't it, down there? But I would like to see Luton get out of it. 'Cause
I'd
think
like
they
to see
could.
Bournemouth go. Purely because of them sacking their manager. Because I don't think there was any, do you know how we say, sometimes, you've got the bias on English players, that if they weren't English, no one would think they're of the same standard, they wouldn't have the same transfer tag on them. It works the complete role reversed way with managers, doesn't it? Like,
100%.
a manager, what has a Gary O'Neill done that the fella that got brought in hasn't? Okay, yeah, he was sort of decent in the Liga, but you know what I mean? Like, he's been brought in, and you see it today.
It's
Gary
within
O'Neill
good
goes
reason,
and-
though, really. Like, name me the last English manager that won the Premier League.
I mean,
It hasn't happened.
Yeah, but that's
Ed
extreme.
Woodward
That's
was pretty good.
Yeah, but Craig, that's an extreme example. Yeah, neither of them are trying to win the Premier League. If you say to me, name me the last English manager that has kept a team up, and then maybe a foreign manager's come in and hasn't, then it's going to be easier to.
No, but my point is, if they were good enough, they would build to that level, and then what I mean.
I do kind of subscribe to
Graham
the-
Potter was the guy that was supposed to get the big job, and then carry that through, and
I do
fumbled
subscribe
it.
to your opinion on the sense of English managers don't get the credit that they probably deserve sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
I think Eddie Howe, the job he's done,
Fantastic.
it amazes me how people talk about him, like Simon Jordan and the like saying, oh, well, he's the Nearly man and he won't do this and he won't do that. I'm like, if any other manager did, because Eddie's got such a self-deprecating, chill demeanour. He's not boastful. He doesn't have arrogance about him. He should be walking around like he's got the biggest dick in town right now. You're taking us from struggling against the champion, going into the championship, to in the Champions League within 18 months. That's unheard of.
But there's also this stereotype that if you get an English manager and they play Brexit ball, it's all defensive, blah blah blah. But Eddie Howe,
So true, bro.
but it's true though, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's how everyone thinks of an English manager. You go right, if you've got a leaky defence, get an English manager in. They'll play 4-4-2, play it long. Mate,
Brexit ball, is that an official term?
Yeah, I've
Sean
coined that.
Dyche,
Yeah.
Sam
But
Allardyce.
Like it.
Eddie Howe has got the best attack in the league statistically. He scored more goals than anyone else, and you're not doing it with superstars. It's Jacob Murphy passing the ball to other English, like Callum Wilson.
I'll give you another example of that. When Vieira got sacked, I get he'd had a really tough run of fixtures, but all of a sudden it's like, oh God, they brought Roy Hodgson back in. Then they go and spank Leeds 5-0 or something like that. You know what I mean? The scoring all of a sudden starts at Palace. I know
I
they
think
had
it's
a
more
bad
because he's
goal
got a
today,
freedom pass, but
Yeah.
God bless Roy.
Do you know what though? Those bottom teams, there's two of them there, Bournemouth and Burnley, where it's just naive what they're doing. Do you know, whether it's an English manager or a foreign manager, it doesn't matter who it is. You can't try and play that football
But image is
with
important,
those
though,
players.
Is what we're
Yeah, I mean,
if Vincent Kompany was getting a tune out of Burnley this season, there would be talk of him taking over from Pep Guardiola. Already.
yeah.
It would be talk. It wouldn't be real. But the point is how you look, the sound of your accent, everything plays into how we're digesting the
Yeah,
information.
if Roy Hodgson's wearing a blazer and a cap,
And a t-shirt, Jerry, and a t-shirt.
That's
You're not having
that's not spoke about enough. That's not good fashion on the sidelines. I don't care. I'm not having.
Are
it.
you judging him based on his fashion sense? Is that what it is?
Well, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not gilet bad, but it's.
who are you talking about? It's a company.
Yeah, he wears a cap and a t-shirt. And a
At least he
blazer.
ain't gone Stone Island.
That is like wearing jogging bottoms and loafers. It does not go.
In terms of the topics for the day, lads, we're going to start with... well, actually, I'd like to get this one out of the way real quick before the match starts. Jordan Henderson booed the other night for England.
Damn. Be your own people.
Mr. England to a degree, Mr. Liverpool he was for a long time. And there was talk about why, obviously Southgate's not happy about it. What do we think the reason is?
I think that they were booing Southgate's decision in terms of his selection. I honestly don't believe it's a thing from... I'm not saying that there's obviously like sizable sections of the public who disagree with what Jordan Henderson's done in terms of choosing to take the money in Saudi and whatnot, and it goes against things that he stood up for in the past. But in that moment there, I believe that it's not... You don't hear boos coming from Twitter from people sitting behind their computer. It's the people in the stadium that are apparently booing. So if it is those people in the stadium, personally, shoot me down, but it's just my opinion, they're not booing about the fact that he's gone against the LGBTQ community. I think they're booing Southgate's decision to have someone in that team who is not playing anywhere near the highest level. You know, you're not going to, no matter how good the player is, you're probably not going to pick a player that's playing maybe third, fourth tier football in England to be in that setup, especially when it's one that you're looking at. There's other options, for example, and I get he was in the squad, but you look at Conor Gallagher, you know, you look at a Longstaff at Newcastle who didn't make the squad. Eze, I'm not sure whether he was in the team or not, but I believe that in that moment, a lot of England fans would have liked to have seen maybe the next step in our progression in terms of that spot on the pitch, and that's why they were booing. So although it can look like it's aimed at Henderson,
but for context, what minute did he come on?
I can't remember.
Was we winning like at that point?
Didn't he?
Because I feel like that's important. Because
I think there might be a sprinkling of the fact that people just now think Jordan Henderson's a bit of a cock as well. Like,
Mate,
I'm not saying
I'm going more down. Yeah,
I'm not
with you.
saying he is a cock. I'm just saying, like, unfortunately, because he spoke out the way he did about the LGBTQ community's issues and seemed to be an ally for them, to then go join Saudi and become an ambassador after he said things about if people can't feel comfortable watching me play, I would never do that. And he literally said one thing and did the complete opposite. So I think, as much as I agree with the point about it's Southgate, I think people won't have any guilt about booing him because they think he's a bit of a cock.
He's done promo for Saudi to get a World Cup.
Yeah.
He's done promo for another country to host a World Cup. Mate, you can't expect to not get booed. Because it's Saudi, because they pay so much, we don't think about it the same way. Imagine, I don't know, imagine a player who plays in Germany doing a promotional video for Germany to host a World Cup whilst they still play for England. Of course you
It's also, he can't shut himself up. Like, so if you take the money, there's a bit of a key there is to shut up.
Just get your head
I know
down,
what I've done. We all know what I've done. It's the fact that he's lying to people and insulting their intelligence by saying it's not about the money. I'm wanting to further the game in another part of the world. And it's like, look, if you're going to take the money, cool. We all understand that about looking after your family, but don't insult our intelligence while you're doing it.
And it's a bit of virtual signalling. It feels like.
Then all he can do is not say anything because people go, "Why don't you just call it for what it is?" He can't. He can't go, "Mate, I am literally here for the money," because then the second the Saudis catch wind of that, they go, "Well, hold on, mate. Like you're supposed to not only,
He also said that.
no, but you're supposed to, you're not only like you're happy to take our money. You should also be portraying us in a positive light, or don't say anything."
Well, that's the whole point of sports washing, isn't it? The whole point of sports washing is we pay you to wash our reputation. You can't take the money and shut up. You got to take the money. You got to wear the shirt. You got to push the fact that we want a World Cup. You've got to be a spokesperson.
But then the thing
that's
is,
what they're paying for.
A lot of the other footballers, I think it just goes back to what you said. A lot of the other footballers and loads of footballers have gone there recently and not getting this stick because they wasn't standing up for certain causes like he was. So when you do the virtual signalling, like I said, and then you go over there and do that, even the people that aren't a part of that community that you stood up for are looking at you like you ain't like, where's your morals? Where's your principles? Like your principles are gone now.
Can I ask a question though? Like, and this is, I don't know, I'm not trying, this isn't a rhetorical question, but can anyone around this table sit and say to me that if they had that sort of opportunity to have that generational wealth, that their kids would never probably even need to work again a day in their life, but it meant that they were going to have to go against their moral compass at some point and go against things they'd spoke out for? Would no one...
We do it every day.
That's what I'm saying.
As humans, we do it every day.
I'd do the Saudi version of the kickoff. I'd be doing true Saudi, mate. I'd be loving it.
True Saudi.
I think the thing is that
You think that I'd beat you to it because I'd be taking the cash first. I've got the patent.
I'd be over there.
he did an interview with The Athletic, though, where he actively said there is nothing in my contract that says that I have to promote the nation of Saudi Arabia.
I wouldn't care though, that Twitter video where he's like, Hello, I'm here.
Yeah, but this
it
is
was
what I
very
mean.
You can,
But this is
you
what-
can see
this-
the guns outside out of shot, mate.
But this is why, like, you've got to hold these people accountable. And maybe this is why there are some boos going on, because he's not only just doing it, he's lying about it.
He is, but that being said, I still think the majority of the people booing in that arena, do they really care about LGBTQ feelings and the way Jordan Henderson's conducting himself? The match goers that I know,
Yeah.
they're not really that kind of bloke personally, right? The vast majority of them. It's not that they don't care, but it isn't at the forefront of their mind when they're watching a football match.
Yeah.
A football match, the match-going lads are going, why is he coming on? Why is Calvin Phillips in the squad when they're not even playing first-team football at the top level? You've got Sean Longstaff playing in the Champions League. You've got Gallagher today playing in a big game.
Captain in Chelsea.
Yeah.
It's very like easy and available to us to sit and watch football. Putting your hand in your pocket for a ticket,
Aye.
the day out, everything in it requires a certain amount of commitment from a fan. And I just personally believe, for what it's worth, that the fans that do that, at the forefront of their mind is not politics. At the forefront of their mind is what is going on this pitch. What is England's best chance of winning the Euros? You know, who is the best available player to have a selection today? So I just think if I had to put my money on it, I would say that the boos weren't so much aimed at that from the fans that were
But
booing.
we just beat Italy 3-0. We've just qualified
3-1.
for the.
Yeah, but that's a
3-1.
bad
Yeah.
Italy
We
team.
j-
That's a bad.
But we've just
Italy team.
beaten them. Like, to say,
They were all right.
yeah.
But
To
do you know what? Do you know what? To be fair, right, I've just checked it. He came on in the 70th minute. We were 2-1 up. I think the performance we had on that game against Italy and the from what I saw, the way we were playing, Jude Bellingham was amazing. Harry Kane performed well. Everyone looked like they played well. There wasn't really a need for any England fan to be booing anyone in that game.
you not
Do you know
think
what I
they're
mean?
thinking
It was a feel-good game.
Is that not the long term though? They're thinking like you're still getting major things wrong here. Like you're still pandering to your favourites.
Yeah, but
You know
there's a
what I mean?
time and a place for it, mate.
Yeah.
Like it's like, why are you doing it now? It was a good performance.
Great ball.
Everyone
Chance.
should.
Early.
Sterling's
Sterling's
in here
in
on the
behind.
right hand
It's
side.
gone. It's gone.
Sorry, we're underway,
still
guys.
holding
We're
it.
about a minute in. We've just kicked off, and Sterling's turning his man.
Oh, penalty.
Pen.
Yeah,
Oh, a bit early.
Yeah,
What are you
right.
doing?
Go on.
Oh, he's got a
Gallagher's
chance
still
to
got it.
shoot. Oh, he's
Chelsea have started on
Enzo.
smoke.
There was
that
a
was
pass to
close.
Cole Palmer there, crying out to happen. He
But
did-
you see what Sterling's doing there. He's going behind Zinchenko. If there's one weak point in our defence, it's behind Zinchenko.
It
That's
does
the
look
thing that
like
panics
Cole
me.
Palmer is through the middle by the looks of it. So let's
That's a mad pass to
watch
Kane.
this now.
You see the space Palmer made there as well. He wasn't.
It was nice.
I think Sterling's gone behind Zinchenko. I think it's Palmer through the middle.
Yeah,
A
that's
start
what I'm
like
saying.
this
Yeah,
will
yeah,
get
yeah.
the crowd up as well
Yeah,
at
yeah.
Stamford Bridge.
Massively so. Before we get too far into the game, should we do very, very quick predictions? What we think? Joey, what do you think? Score prediction.
I'm going Chelsea 2-1.
I love it.
Arsenal 3-1.
Okay,
I'm gonna go 1-1 draw.
I fucking knew it.
I'm gonna.
I've been every prediction I've done is
I was going to
draw.
say, have you ever not got a
The
draw?
ultimate fence sitter this past.
No, all right, let me change it. Let me change it because I have done a lot of draw.
Go on, Cole
I'm gonna-
Palmer.
Palmer's in.
I'm gonna say
Breaking on them
2-1
now.
Chelsea.
Palmer's in.
Oh, behind
behind
him. Oh,
Sterling.
Cole
What
Palmer
has he
plays
done?
it behind Sterling when he wanted it in front of him.
We need to wake
I
up.
do feel like this will be a tricky game for Arsenal though, more than people
Josh.
think it will be.
I'm going 2-2 today. I think there'll be early goals, and I think that Arsenal will probably score first.
I'm going to say 2-1 Arsenal.
There you go.
Let's see.
Could easily be wrong. Like I'm really fascinated to see with the Champions League, with huge games like the Man City game,
there.
how Arsenal's legs fare.
By the way, that is the best centre back in the league you're watching right now.
What better than Van Dijk?
William Gallas doesn't
I
agree.
think he's better.
Yeah,
He's better than Van
you're
Dijk.
saying
I think right now he's better than
You're
Van
saying
Dijk.
Saliba's number one, yeah?
I think he's better than Van Dijk.
Are we talking about form or what?
I'm saying
Quality.
if you have to pick a centre back tomorrow to play in a game, you're picking Saliba over.
Okay,
No,
let's
Jamal
do this because
Lascelles.
Gallas did like a top 5. William Gallas, legendary Premier League defender, to be fair to him in his career, and he said in the top 5, Saliba doesn't get in. He the guys he picked, I didn't agree with, but I think what was it?
Varane, Thiago Silva, Virgil van Dijk, and Guardiola.
Okay. Well, he hasn't played that many games for City.
That was only
And he's
4
played at
players.
left
The left back.
He's played at left back.
Yeah.
He only said 4 players.
If we're saying top 5 centre backs in the league, lads, for me, Saliba's in there.
Saliba's definitely in there.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I think he's top
definitely
3. I think apart from Van Dijk, who's up there with Saliba at the moment? Who else would you?
I don't want to be biased, but I'm starting to like
No,
our
don't
CBs.
say
I'm
that.
liking our
You
CBs
don't
now.
believe that, mate.
What do you mean?
You don't believe that
I
they're
think-
up there in terms of the top 5 in the league.
I'd say only because because Romero is a bit mad, but we haven't seen enough of Van der Ven. But I really, really, really like Van der Ven. I think
like
he's going to be
I
there.
mean-
I think he's going to be there, but I can't put him there now.
So would you put Varane in there like Gallas did?
No.
Because based on what I'm seeing this season, and even end of last season, I wouldn't. Like, great career, But for me, Varane's just not what he
Over
was.
the hill.
No,
Yeah.
I think there's players that you don't think about that are definitely putting in better performances week in, week out.
Lewis
Apart from the
Diaz.
sort of animal violence, Kurt Zuma, he's better than Varane.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So, sitting in the top 5, Saliba, I'm going to say Sven Botman has to be in there personally. Better, arguably, well, Newcastle statistically had the best defence in the league last season, equal to Man City, and Botman was the man. If we're talking centre backs, so I'm gonna put him in.
Thiago's got to be in there. I think.
Ruben Diaz has got to be in there surely as well.
Do you think Thiago
Silva.
now?
Thiago Silva, yeah, he's one of the best
John-
defenders
John-
in the
Yeah,
world
he's
ever.
still
John,
good.
Stones,
man.
John Stones is in there.
You reckon?
John Stones
Yeah,
is weird.
I
though.
really
he's
rate John
kind of a
Stones.
midfielder now, isn't he? Like the way he
Yeah.
actually plays. I know what you're saying. Like, I think he has to be in there. I think in terms of pure defenders, in terms of one-on-one, who can stop a striker, it's Saliba and Van Dijk. And right now, I think Saliba's got the legs on him. Saliba, like we just watched him last week pocket Haaland.
Yeah.
He didn't have a
He
shot.
bossed it.
I don't think Van Dijk's been the same after that injury as
No,
well.
he
if
hasn't.
I'm being
He's
honest.
got-
You'd
That was
still
a
put him
bad
top
injury.
5 though, wouldn't you?
Yeah, of course,
Yeah.
definitely. But before that injury, it was undisputed.
Cucurella.
Good boy.
Good boy.
Look at him, look
he
at him.
says.
I love that.
Okay, so Saliba, Van Dijk,
Diaz has got to be up there.
Botman.
Botman and Thiago Silva.
I'd put Stones in ahead of Thiago Silva.
Stones hasn't been playing enough in centre back.
He's not been fit, but yeah, I know what you mean.
We're
though.
going
He
off now.
goes in
So what are we
midfield,
doing?
yeah.
Are we going off
Thiago
like?
Silva still looks great.
Are we
at
going
his
off their
age,
prime, or
man.
are we going off right now?
Right
Because if-
now.
No,
Well, then-
it's got
well,
to
then-
be right
right
now.
now.
Well then Stones can't be in it because he hasn't been playing.
Right now,
Play
I'm
today.
throwing Van de Ven in there. What are we doing?
By right now, I mean, you know,
don't-
last 6
No,
months.
but you actually, I'm not saying he is, but you got a point. If you're going right now at this moment in time, Van der Ven has been very good.
Yeah, he scored
I do
goals. He's
think.
top of was top of the league. But that's changed.
I think you got to do it like, would you want Van der Ven in your team if you were an Arsenal fan or a Liverpool fan? And I don't know if they would like race that over the
Van
other,
de Ven,
over
Van
the
de
other
Ven and
options.
Saliba would be an amazing centre back
over the
partnership.
other options. I'm saying over the other options.
Yeah. I don't know. I like a good Dutch player anyway. I do.
Maybe it's harsh,
I love
but
a fan.
because he hasn't been in the Premier League for so long. I don't
Yeah,
think
that's
we've
what
got
it
like we don't know if he's going to be able to do it across
No,
the
it's
entire
true.
season.
But then, do you know the funny thing is with Saliba?
Oh.
If we're being real though, even with Saliba, it's one season.
Right,
Yeah, but
Sterling.
It's one season. If we're being real.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
but
kind of
again-
half a season for Saliba because he missed so many.
That's what I mean. So it's like we're putting him up against people like Van Dijk, Thiago Silva. These are players that have done it year in, year out, and are still doing it right now.
Yeah.
Even that's a bit unfair.
Martinelli,
There's a lovely ball threaded through to Odegaard, and he
Someone
plays it
get-
out to Martinelli.
someone's got to make a run and support him there.
I think Chelsea got to just get their shooting boots on these days.
What's going to be interesting today is that Chelsea, for the first time this season, are playing two conventional fullbacks, and I'm very interested to see how that
They
works.
look quite
with the
well
wingers.
organised, Chelsea.
This is the thing with Chelsea for me though. I think they could be a really good team, but
Can I just say, Joey, it looks like Conor Gallagher is up front. Look at Conor Gallagher's positioning right now. It
Yeah.
looks like he's the furthest forward.
Well, it's funny, isn't it? Because we spoke like before, obviously.
Ooh, that's a terrible
That's
challenge.
a yellow. That's a yellow. isn't
They're
it?
gonna look
Yeah,
at
yeah.
You know what? It's at least a yellow.
That's
Definitely,
studs
yeah.
on his ankle.
And
Isn't
then-
it?
Oh,
They'll
that's
look at-
bad.
Do you know what? There has been a couple of these recently that they haven't referred to VAR, so I think they might not
what-
do it in this occasion.
They're
Oh,
going to
no,
look.
he's
Oh,
got-
he's
yeah.
gone.
No.
No.
He ain't
I
gone.
thought he was reaching for his pocket then. This is one of the things that does concern me ever so slightly with Chelsea is like our discipline record, not just when it comes to sendings off, but bookings and stuff. Like you look at the Burnley match, I think there was 6 bookings on our side. Our discipline record, and it sort of is in line with having a young team that are almost a little bit green, a little bit wet behind the ears at times. Although they're so classy, our discipline record's really, really like something that worries me.
Poch's football is very much go in, get physical, play like that. And you're right. What I was going to say with Chelsea, we're talking about can you get top 4 this season. If I was to say now, you're going to have Chilwell and Reece James fit for the rest of your games, I think you get top 4.
Can I tell you
That's
something?
part of the problem.
I hate to say it because I love him, but I don't think Chilwell's in our strongest starting level.
Do you not think so?
No.
What, do you think
Anymore.
Cucurella sits him down?
No,
it's
no,
not.
no,
It's
no, no,
Colwell.
no.
It's Colwell.
I think, and I've been one of the first people to speak out against it when I didn't think it was right. But I actually think for this season, until Thiago Silva goes, Colwell at left back.
Really?
I think Silva and Disasi, and it could eventually turn into Disasi and Benoit Badiashile as the centre backs. And I actually think Colwell's good over there. And what I do think is, you know, when we were really strong with Chilwell, we didn't play a back 4. We didn't play a back 4.
Yeah,
So
it's
if
true.
Reece
He was
is
a
going to
wing
bomb
back,
on,
really.
if Reece is going to bomb on, which we know he will in a back 3 or a back 4, you need a bit more defensive solidity. So when it becomes a 3 and they go backwards, I think Colwell's the better option to have in there because there's no doubt that Chilwell's more creative, but Colwell is a better defender than Chilwell.
I know what you're saying, and to be fair, we have seen what Chilwell's been playing. What, left wing?
Yeah, he has.
This season.
This
But
has started really fiery, lads.
Yeah,
I don't know
it
if you've
does.
noticed, but
But
the
that's
challenge
Palmer again.
flying in.
It's raining.
And the intensity, like you guys are saying about Poch, and like Spurs were always looked upon as a soft team, and I always remember Poch getting them as fiery as possible with those battles against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge and that. I think he's trying to turn Chelsea into a more combative side.
The only thing I'll say, like, and we all like watching games like this where tackles are flying in and everything like that. The amount of big games this season, Liverpool, Everton, the same today, where you come away from it talking about refereeing decisions, and it's so boring. I'm so
do you not think it
bored of
ruins
talking
the
about
game?
VAR. I'm completely.
Oh my God! Shocking!
And we just-
Thiago Silva fluffs it
No,
in his
it's
own box.
Colwell. It was Colwell.
Oh, was it? Sorry.
Yeah.
We're not watching on it.
Oh,
that's all right then.
Looking thing right now. Sorry.
I just don't want to come out of this game. And that's the thing I was so happy about with the Arsenal City game is because Kovacic should have gone. He should have gone for 2 yellow cards. He didn't go. He won it anyway. But that's another game where we could have come out of that talking about VAR and refs. And it's so boring, man. Just ref it properly. Just
What we're seeing, like obviously Arsenal coming back into the match, but Chelsea always seem to start strong. Like throughout this season, we're always starting strong, but obviously where we haven't been clinical enough, we don't get in front early on. Look at that, lovely.
Send him
Gotta
off.
Give him a
credit
yellow.
to Cucurella.
Send him off.
Cucurella has started really well in the first 10
Yeah,
minutes.
Well, I've always stuck by him. I have backed that boy until the cows come home.
He's running like a man possessed here.
I think Joey and I did a piece where we were talking about Cucurella being in the squad, and we were quite happy
Yeah.
to see him go, and we were
Mate,
definitely wrong.
There's I don't want to speak too early, but there's definitely a redemption arc going on there with Cucurella.
Let's not.
I don't think. Yeah,
passes
yeah.
it back
he's up
into
against
his own
Saka
goal
today, mate. Just
Yeah.
be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a game you're going to get found out, it's today. But he's pressing hard, and there's loads of space in the middle of the park here for Chelsea to run into when Arsenal get forward.
It's already shaping up so far to be the sort of game that I was thinking it was going to be.
Oh,
Is that a handball?
How is that not a handball?
No,
Check
he's
it.
hit
How
it.
is that not a handball?
Look at this.
How is that not a handball?
Guys, this could easily be a handball here.
So there was a
It's
cross that
Saliba's-
came in for Mudryk. Mudryk
it was-
tries to get his head on it.
it was
It
Gabriel.
looks like there was a hand.
They're not even showing it.
And they're not showing the
Jacob,
replay
how do you
yet.
feel about that?
I don't know. It happens so quick you can't really see it. But
Yeah, it's true.
It's
God.
I'm going to need a call
the
from
problem.
you.
The,
No,
pro-
sure.
well, the problem is nowadays I don't know what the rules are. Yeah, he had his arm in the air because he's going for a header, right? I don't know what the rule is.
Did you
anymore.
see the
Don't
arm?
give me the I don't know what the rules
No.
are. Was it handball or not?
I'll know what the rules are when it's in your box. Right?
Define handball, yeah.
Did you see the handball, the Everton handball today? Because I don't think he meant to do that. But at the same time, you're like, bro, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Like, even if you don't, it's not about what you mean anymore. It's about what the fuck are you doing with your arm out like
There's
that?
times when you can't do
Yeah.
it, but there's also times where you can't jump for a ball with your arms like
Yeah,
that. Do you know
so-
what I mean? There's times when your arm is just going to come out from your side a little bit.
I can't wait to see the replay of this. I assume they're checking it already
Yeah, they
and
must
that
have
it's
checked.
good.
Let's see when the ball goes
This
out
is
of
the
play
thing
if
with
they
the
go
with the
back.
questionable VAR decisions now, though.
So you could
Like,
run
They are
again.
checking it. They are checking it.
with
They
the
are-
questionable VAR
What-
decisions,
wait,
we're
do
sitting
they
in it now.
wait
We're
till it
going,
goes out of play?
why
They
aren't they
check.
checking it?
No. So they're checking it now.
Cucurella again.
They were checking it before.
Right up the arse of an Arsenal
I'm
player.
surprised that wasn't a yellow
Oh,
card.
here we go.
Oh, we're going to
Here we
see
go.
ball, and it's a referee check, and we
Wait, is it
might
going-
get
You know what
another
that means?
penalty.
You know what that means,
We
boys?
might have a penalty.
We haven't even seen the replay
Hold on,
yet.
can
What
I
does that
just
know?
say, though, the game was allowed to go on. So now have they changed the rule in light of what happened?
No, because it didn't go out. It didn't go
The
out.
ball didn't go out. So his arm is out. And look, if we're basing this off of what happened in the Everton game earlier today, that is the arm was
Mate,
out.
he stops that going towards the
So,
goal.
Yeah, it's a
so
handball.
even
It's
though
a
he's
pen.
jumping for the head and he can't jump naturally, as you just said, Jacob. I mean,
It's a pen.
If
That's
you
like
have
his
your hand
hand-
out,
Is his hand in an unnatural position?
That stops the ball from going towards the goal.
yeah.
Simple
So
as that.
if we're basing off consistency
Yeah,
in
and
the
it was
Everton
going in.
game, that should be a penalty based on what we see in earlier today in the Everton game.
That has to be a pen.
It's,
It has to
it's
be.
exactly the same as the Everton.
There's no way Rare's saving that.
Jacob, do you think it is a pen? Be honest.
Define a pen.
His hand is in the skies doing the Superman.
Jacob, tell me.
This ref's taking a long time
That's a
to
penalty,
figure this
Mate,
out.
you're getting
I
a
think
penalty.
it's a penalty.
You're getting a
I think it's a
penalty.
penalty.
Let's have a
You're
look.
getting a penalty.
Let's have a look. The referee, he doesn't know what he wants to do.
Penalty.
It's a penalty.
Is he going to?
Yes! Come on! It's a penalty to Chelsea.
It was a clear penalty. Let's be real. It was.
Who's taking this?
This is the thing I don't know.
Gotta be Cole Palmer.
Michael, it
Gotta
was-
be Cole
I
Palmer.
don't back the penalty
Cole
taker.
Palmer.
It's got to be
I don't-
30.
No, it's Cole Palmer. Ice cold.
Ice cold. He's been there for 5 minutes.
Ice
And you're gonna give it to him. Give it to Mudryk. You lot were saying he's the big game player before the game.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
I feel sorry for Saliba, right? Because he's genuinely just jumping for the ball, but you can't do that.
It's the same as Michael Keane. We didn't have that
Don't
sympathy
feel sorry
for
for him.
Michael
He's
Keane.
lucky to have not got a red
But
card
with
there.
Michael Keane, Michael Keane was just sort of in the box, walking around with his arm out for no reason. Like at least with Saliba, I can go, you were jumping. I see how that could have
It
happened.
reminds me of the 6-0 at Stamford Bridge when we won.
Oh, really?
Sending off. It was actually very
Are you
similar to
mental?
that.
Do you want to bring that up now?
I'm gonna be real though. I think you're gonna miss this.
I know. Do you know what?
In the
I don't
rain,
back him.
a penalty in the rain like this is not good. We're saying John Terry all over again.
Don't
Bro,
say that.
slip
Cole Palmer.
Craig,
This
why
boy
did you
is
have to bring that
cool
up?
as a cucumber. I'm telling you.
We call him Cool
He's got
Palmer.
ice running through his
Cool
veins.
Palmer.
Let's see.
Do you back him?
Yeah,
Let's
of
see.
course
Yeah,
I
we
do.
back him.
Where's he
We
from
back
up
him.
north?
He's from Manchester.
Yeah, he's
Here
used
we
to the
go.
rain. The rain's
Left-
nothing.
Left foot. Where's he going to slot it?
left.
Bottom left.
Left foot, Cole Palmer. Where's it going?
Cool Palmer.
Come on, Chelsea.
Come on!
Palmer, look at
Cool
him.
Palmer.
We played
In the
possum
rain.
for the first 6 games because we knew we were going to catch you lot.
You know what's funny is a couple of weeks ago you were saying, I've seen it, Cole Palmer is the guy we can rely on, and he's coming good for you, mate.
Yep.
Mystic
Feel
Joey.
for Saliba, though.
Mystic Joey. Look, it's a harsh one, but he stopped the ball from going towards the goal. I feel it had to be a penalty, and at that position, I'm glad he slotted it home. What a goal!
I'm just
Chelsea
happy
1-0.
Someone may or may not have had a bet on him first goal scorer.
This has got to be
Stop it.
the best start you have made to a game, because I've watched a lot of your games this season. You've came out flying.
Just also want to say here, guys, Mudryk gets the assist for that because he won the penalty.
shut the
so
fuck
again, for everyone
that
being
doesn't work,
dissenting,
does it?
It
Surely
yeah, it does.
not.
In fancy football terms, it does.
Yeah,
that's
fucking
all
hell.
it matters.
And now the pressure's on Arsenal to answer, so this is going to be really interesting because they've got to come forward now. And
Too early to park the bus?
we were wondering.
Well,
though, like,
I think that's the question for Chelsea now. I think the problem you've got now is what
do we do?
Because
What do we
you've
do?
been coming forward, you've been coming onto us, and I think if you do keep doing that, you're going to leave some space. From Arsenal's perspective, you could talk about a handball all day. That's what, the 4th, 5th time they've got in our box in 10 minutes?
Chelsea have been all over Arsenal
We've
in
not
terms of
played like
pressure.
that this
Yeah.
season. Like, you're looking at that cross coming in, and it's Jorginho and Saliba in the box on their own. Like, we're way too open. I don't really understand how we've approached
What we were
this game.
talking about, what Arsenal would be like mentally after such a huge win against Man City.
We look asleep.
Yeah.
We look asleep.
And Chelsea look the opposite. They look absolutely after it here. I think they knew we've got a real chance to kickstart the season.
I've been watching this game for 16 minutes. I've got no idea who's up front for Chelsea.
Gallagher.
I've got absolutely
well, it is Gallagher.
Gallagher.
No,
Mate, Gallagher's the furthest man forward every
No,
time.
but I looked.
Pochettino's in that changing room. He's gone, right, Jackson's out. Brower's legs are brittle at the minute. We've got no one to rely on. Gallagher's gone, hold my beer.
Yeah.
I'm going up there. No, but do you know what is mad, yeah? Like, we were thinking before Pochettino came, we were speaking about, he's always normally got that one player who, like, he'll transform a little bit and they'll play in different positions. Obviously, Eriksen used to be in the middle and then he'd move over to the wing during the games. And I was thinking Gallagher was going to be gone. And Gallagher has been Poch's man. Like, Conor,
Yeah.
the glow up from Conor Gallagher this season is mental. Like, he has been...
Do you know why he's gone for him, though? In my opinion, anyway, is without the ball, you want someone who's going to do the pressing from the front and not give that time that the Arsenal defenders want to pass the ball out, to bring the ball forward. And I think Gallagher is a really good option for that. Obviously, we're talking about a day where you don't have your best choices fully fit. I think he's
Doesn't
done the
matter.
right thing.
He's still in the lineup. Gallagher's probably our most important player.
No, I just
That's
mean
not me saying he's
in
our
that
best
position,
player,
yeah.
but he's probably our most important in terms of, because of what he does in terms of engine, chasing things down off the ball, resilience, leaving everything on the pitch. If you take Conor Gallagher out of that team, I think there's a significant drop-off. And
Isn't that
credit
mental,
to
that-
Poch for understanding that straight away.
You could lose him, though. It's like so soon.
He
can't go now.
He could.
Can't go
I mean,
now.
he hasn't signed a new contract. And you know what Bowley is like. He will sell players if they don't sign contracts. So
Mate.
as much as Poch will like that. I want him to
Look
say,
at the stats.
There you go. 4 shots, 1 on target for Chelsea. 10 touches in the opponent box.
0
Yeah.
You've got less
Arsenal, I'm
possession.
shocked.
And I've always said the records don't lie. So.
And Arsenal have had 0 of everything in terms of shots. So
concerned.
This is a huge test for us now. If we're serious about title, if we're serious about pushing City for this, we have to perform now.
Yeah.
1-0 down, a penalty. I mean, how many minutes was it between me saying Saliba was the best centre back in the Premier League and him giving away that penalty?
It was comedic timing. and now he is out of your top 5.
to be fair to him,
it was
obviously
hard.
we know like it's just one of those things, but I I think one of the main things we highlighted pre-game as well was the midfield battle, and Chelsea's midfielders are working their bollocks off here.
I have to say, though, we're talking about Gallagher's engine being in there. We need it today because those two boys have come from South America. They've only landed like 36 hours ago with Caicedo and Enzo. So he needs some energy around them. And fair play to them for coming, off that flight and getting straight in this massive game today. I don't know how they do it, to be honest with you.
This has
I really
stopped
don't.
being a Jorginho game really quickly. I might have said it wasn't a Jorginho game 20 minutes ago, to be honest with you, but this is no longer a Jorginho game.
Football's not a
Is it a
Jorginho
mistake?
game.
Was it a mistake to start him then?
Oh, well, look, the thing is, you don't know what the other team's going to do. But when the other team has got Conor Gallagher, Cole Palmer, pressing, going nuts from the midfield, and then Enzo and Caicedo stepping on as well, Jorginho hasn't got a minute to take a touch. We saw what happened again't Spurs. When you press him, he struggles.
Is Partey fit?
Partey's fit and he's sat on the bench.
What is going on? What is going on though?
mind-blowing, that.
What is going on there? Because he hasn't been playing. He didn't play him in the last game as well.
Well,
did he?
he's had an injury. He's had an injury, and he's
but he's been
only
fit for a while, hasn't he?
No, he's only just coming back. He was.
But he was fit for the last game before the international break.
He only just.
I don't think Arsenal fancy him anymore, I'll be real.
Well, you tried to sell him in the summer, didn't you?
Yeah, I think it's a PR thing. I'm not going to lie. It's a bit conspiracy-led, but I think they've had I don't think they like the kind of thing that's going on around him at the moment.
Yeah.
And they were trying to phase him out this summer, and obviously they kept him. Because he's a fantastic footballer. Everyone knows that.
He's
so
better
really,
than
he should be
Jorginho.
playing 100%.
Yeah.
Oh, Arsenal are
Arsenal are
in.
in.
Yeah.
Really
Come on,
good
Dave.
chance
Go
for
on,
Martin.
Dave.
Here we go.
Martinelli.
Oh! Was it outside of the boot?
That was Deck.
That's
Was that
Declan.
a
Was that
shot?
Declan?
Was that a shot?
Yeah.
Fuck me.
I'm telling you now, if we keep playing him in that left 8 position, he's going to explode. As a number 6, he's great. When he starts running forward like that, and we've seen him do it at West Ham, he's a serious footballer.
I don't know if that was a
I
shot,
don't think
though.
that was a shot.
Let me
I
have
think
a
he's
look.
past it. Look,
Yeah,
he's looking
he's-
up.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
definitely not looking to shoot.
He didn't look at the goal once.
He tried to bend it around the defenders to cross it, and it was just such a bad cross. It looked more like a shot.
The thing with the party stuff, I think we are trying to move past him. I think we are trying to go, right, we have to leave him behind now. Problem is, when he doesn't play, we lack something. When
So
he
it's-
doesn't play, we do lack something about Partey.
I agree.
Jorginho's not physical enough in there. And when you put Rice at the base of midfield, I love Declan Rice. He hasn't got that pass through the lines that Jorginho and Partey have.
Let's talk about Man United quickly, lads. They've just looked like they've completed a takeover, or it's about to be completed. Sheikh Jassim has ruled himself out after being fucked around by the Glazers for long enough, where the Glazers clearly want to maintain their status at the club for a while.
They've not completed a takeover, have they? That's like me going to you, I sold my car, and you go, oh, did you? How much you get? What? I sold the front right wheel.
Yeah, bang on. So they've taken on Sir Jim, and he's going to be 25% owner. What do you make of it, Josh, the business side of it?
I think what is interesting about it is that 25% would be a minority stake of the club. It means that the Glazers still have financial control, they have the voting rights and potentially still control over the football operations. And as a Man United fan, that's what you're terrified about, because you know that they're not going to get the money to reinvest into the squad, which they desperately need. And so, I think every Man United
it's
fan...
going to go into the Glazers' pockets, and then it'll be business as usual around that.
Every Man United fan should be celebrating rightly because they need to get the Glazers out in any way possible. But what the Qatar bid would have allowed them to do is have 100% control, ownership over the transfer window, and then also the ability to bring in some people that know about football in the football operations side. And they're not going to get that, or they won't get that as quickly.
It sounds like
under
they're
the
getting a new guy who's in the football operations side of it, but that it's not going to be the overhaul that they were dreaming.
But the thing is as much as Jim will want to invest in the club, obviously the Glazers are still in sort of majority control. So how much money can he actually invest? And let's be honest, I was debating whether to call it a revolution or an evolution at Man United that needs to happen. I do think it's a revolution. I do think they need to gut that squad and almost not start again, but they're going to need to get some very strong building blocks. And I tell you what's also going to be an interesting thing to think about now. We saw it with Bowley come in. He wanted to get a new guy in and put his stamp on the club with the management perspective. Be very interesting to see what happens now with Ten Hag as well. I could see him going.
Do you know what? This whole Glazer thing with United fans, I'm so sick of United fans moaning about the Glazers. What do they want them to do? They
not
all love
take
Ten
money
Hag.
out of the club.
Okay,
they don't want them to take dividends out of the club, and they're the best run commercially club in the world, and yet they take money out of the club every single year.
Let's talk about the pitch.
They're going to look at this, though.
Let's talk about what happens on the pitch for Man United.
Was this a bad tackle?
Yeah.
That was a bad tackle.
I don't know if both feet were off the ground. Watch this.
It's a two-footed
he's won
challenge
the ball.
No.
from Thiago, and he takes the ball. However,
No.
He's won the ball,
no,
and he hasn't touched
No,
him.
I think if he makes,
I
I mean,
no,
he
no,
leaves the
but
ground, and it's
there's no
two-footed.
there's no stud connection, nothing. It literally hits his shin pad. There's nothing to look at. Get up.
But in real time, it looked more sort of whoa than it
It's
really
a slippery
was.
surface as well. They're going a bit quicker.
This is what I worry about VAR though, is the way that they stop and slow these tackles down, and they make it. It always seems worse. We saw it with the Gusto one the other day. Gusto comes over the top. They've literally stopped it at the point where he connects with his leg, and it looks way worse than what it looked like in real time. Fair enough that they sent him off, and like by the letter of the law, he connects with the upper part of his leg. But I just think VAR always makes it look worse.
No, but they do watch
Always.
it in real time and slow it down as well.
No.
They do.
No. But the language that they used in the VAR when it was Gusto's one was that I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to stop it on the moment where he connects with his leg. And when the ref came over, no matter what you do as an unbiased referee, what you see is a still of the tackle where he comes in and hits in the middle of his shin. And to be honest with you, they didn't show it in real time until I would say like 3 or 4 different replays afterwards.
But he saw it.
He saw it at the end, yeah, but his decision was made. Like, it's the way you frame all of these things.
Yeah, but I think you just got to go over there, look at the monitor and look at it sped up, slowed down, with the point of connection. Just look at it from every single angle. Why not?
That's a great ball.
What's he
Oh.
doing? Sanchez.
Oh my God, this is horrible.
Going back to what you were saying there, Jacob. Sorry about what Man United fans want. What was it? What was
No,
the point?
I just look at what do they want the Glazers? I get they're taking dividends they don't want to take. I get that the training ground needs work. Blah blah blah. In terms
stadium,
of what's
all of
happening
that.
on the pitch, they all love Ten Hag. They're happy with Ten Hag. Who hired Ten Hag? The Glazers.
They're not happy
they're
with the
not.
football operations.
They're not happy with the football operations. We talk about them needing an overhaul of the squad. They spend money every summer.
But that's the thing. That's the thing is they're spending it not wisely because the Glazers have hired
Ten
people
Hag's
that.
decision.
No, is it Ten Hag's decision or is it the people that they've hired?
I don't
run
think
it?
you can take
half
anything
the
off of
play-
Ten. I'm not letting Ten Hag off.
when
You
half the
literally
players
had-
are Dutch-
he's no. I just
When
I've got
half
to
the
step in.
players are Dutch and the other
Ten
half
Hag
are
is the one who's There's no way Ten Hag isn't getting
He's
his men.
identified-
He
half
is
the-
literally the one picking these guys. But yeah,
Oh,
Finish!
big shot. Oh.
I hear your point. Is that Man United fans are saying, if it wasn't for the fact that these guys are creaming off of the profits, we'd be able to invest even more. We'd be able to
Even
have
more.
even better stadium,
They
even
will.
better training ground. And because
Academy
that's how
products
rich
also.
Man United are. So it's like getting a Ferrari and driving it to the speed limit. Like Man United fans are like, we're capable of way more than this.
Are they as rich as Newcastle? No. Are they as rich as City? No. Are they as rich as Chelsea? I'm not sure. So okay, they're the 4th richest team in the league, right? So,
I mean,
Wait, are you talking about the
commercially-
club? Are you talking about the club or are you talking
I
about the
disagree with
owners?
that.
we're
I disagree
talking
with
about the
that.
club. We're talking
If we're
about
talking
no,
about
club's richer.
FFP, Man United statistically should be able to spend more than anyone because they make more.
Yeah.
So legally,
Commercially, yeah.
they should be able to spend more than
They're the
anyone.
richest.
Another thing as well.
And they are actually. Man
this
United
comes-
are actually the biggest spenders.
comes
That
down-
is the one big hole in the anti-Glazers movement. Is it's
They're
not like the
spending
Glazers
money.
aren't spending money. I do think that is a point to be made.
We spoke
they,
about this
they
last
take
time.
money out though. The key thing is,
Yeah.
like when you're thinking about
Agreed.
Chelsea, they invest the money and they aren't necessarily taking any money out. Well, at least not yet. But with Man United, every single year for 10 years or more, they have taken money out of the club, and that's a detriment to.
They're literally
the-
in debt
Dude,
to
that's
the
the-
Glazers.
Yeah,
I get
and
that,
it was a
but-
leveraged buyout as well. You got to remember they put debt on the club.
The reason I'm saying all this is I remember walking outside the Emirates protesting against my owners. I remember Liverpool fans doing exactly the same thing. I remember lots of clubs doing things. I said this last time, good managers make bad owners look good, right? And I think United fans would do well to remember that Arsenal fans didn't like their owners until Arteta turns up, no one talks about it anymore. Our owners take dividends. We don't talk about it because we've got the right manager on the pitch. When you've got a manager who gets any player he wants, and they are his players because half of them are Dutch, half of them played for Ajax, so they are Ten Hag players, I think it's a bit rich to still be talking about your owners. And I'm not saying the Glazers are good. Of course you need to get rid of them. But there's a manager there who's rotting your club
I think
before your
the
eyes.
idea that we can't go anywhere while you're outspending most clubs in Premier League over the last 10 years, while everyone wanted Ten Hag, you got Ten Hag. Ten Hag is getting his targets. The idea that the Glazers are still the main or stopping you from being successful, you have plenty of ingredients to have a successful team here. I mean, don't get me wrong, I look at Old Trafford and I think, fuck me, that needs a lick of paint. But aside from that, I don't think they're incapable of winning anything. And there's this perfect excuse for Ten Hag, which is the Glazers. Every time Ten Hag, it's the fucking Glazers, and I do think like they do need to separate those two arguments out a bit.
But can I ask you why, when we spoke about this before, why Mourinho criticised the ownership at the club, Cristiano Ronaldo, when he sat down with Piers Morgan, criticised the ownership at the club. This is a manager and a footballer who has been everywhere, done it all. Do you know what I mean? They've been at so many big clubs.
I agree with that.
So the fact that they're saying the criticism is there,
do you know what I think the
some
strategy
validity in
is?
it.
I think that the strategy is the opposite of what Arsene Wenger went through at Arsenal. So Arsene Wenger, in order to pay for the new stadium and whatever, he was told, you've got to hold it together as best you can for the next 10 years because it's going to be fucking tight around here because we're refurbing everything else. And the squad isn't going to get the reinforcements it deserves. I think that the Glazers have got the opposite. The Glazers you keep Highbury and you just keep investing in players and hope that...
Yes.
Raya saved it. Raya saved that.
Cole Palmer with another left footer that
he get
goes
fingertips?
just
I
wide.
think
Just a
it's-
quick one that we see there while we were talking here. It only just showed the replay there. When the penalty was
think it
given,
went wide.
Palmer straight away picks up the ball. Him and Sterling have a on-pitch argument there. Do you see it?
Yeah,
Him
they
and
did.
Sterling start having a real argument there.
Sterling
saying that he should be taking the penalty. But literally, like, regardless of whether Palmer scored that or not, it's got to be Palmer on penalties over Sterling.
Oh,
So-
Sterling's not a great finisher.
not a penalty taker.
So go back to what I was saying. I think that the Glazers have the opposite, the Glazers have the opposite idea, which is let's keep spending money on players and let everything go to rat shit around it, because ultimately, whoever buys the club off us wants a team that's up there still, and they can do all the other stuff afterwards.
Of course.
Yeah.
The only thing, look, I'm not saying they're good owners. I know the Glazers are bad owners. I know the training ground's falling apart. I know they've got rats in the canteen. I know it's bad. What I'm saying is, because they don't stop going on about it, but what I'm saying is, if it was a case of Man United being in fourth and saying we should be top, then I'd say, yeah, it's because, as you're saying, you've got the highest commercial revenue, you should be able to spend the most money. That's why. When you're 12th, or wherever they are, when they're that far down, and you've still got, as we've said, the most expensive squad, you have to start talking
Biggest
about...
wages
And the highest
for-
wages.
Biggest
and,
wages.
and you've got to start talking about who is finding these players and who's putting them on the pitch.
The thing for me is it's really hard to go. They spend the most money, but because it's for me they spend it the worst in the league. Like it's one of the their actual acquisition and their transfer policy is really
What,
bad.
worse than you guys?
Well, yeah, because we've got young players that are going to have transfer value. They've signed Casemiro, who is like basically,
Okay.
his value's gone. Like they signed Mason Mount when they didn't need to sign another midfielder.
Yeah.
They've signed Hoyland, who looks brilliant, but might not necessarily be the.
You got it. Some of this has got to fall on him as well. But I'm bored of Ten Hag bashing, if I'm honest.
Same.
As fun as it's been, we had a good run. But yeah, I do feel what they're saying. And look, let's go on to the next thing about Manchester United is Sancho. January looks no way back. He's not in the team photo for the season. I've not seen anything turn quite this sour. It's such a big name player, big wages, big club. Ten Hag really does take no prisoners in the way he treats players.
He's 23. He's on 350 grand a week.
I know it's a lot of money. I think it's important he does that though, because even when I was watching it, and we keep going back to the David Beckham documentary, it's legendary.
I mean, it was class.
Yeah, but even seeing how they spoke about Gary Neville, Paul Scholes, even Bex, just speaking about how Alex Ferguson ran that ship at Man United, and it was like his way or the highway, and he built a team of mini-me's. As a manager, you kind of have to do that. Like the moment you bend or fold to a player's will, then you lose respect from everyone else.
Point, if that's okay.
Yeah, go on.
Different era, and also you can do that when you have all of the trophies behind you and all of the success behind you to go, you know who you are to me? You're nobody, because I got all these trophies. I'm the man around here. But when you're not that guy yet, and you've only won a Worthington fucking Cup or whatever the fuck we're calling the League Cup these days, the balls on you aren't going to be quite as big as Sir Alex. And actually,
I get that.
if I look back at the Sir Alex moments in that documentary, I did think to myself, you know what? The way you handled Beckham, you really fucked that actually, and you kind of got out of jail a little bit.
We're sort of saying there that obviously you need that accomplishment to be able to make calls like that. But even more recent, and it's not to say he's massively done anything yet, but you look at Arteta, I would definitely argue that Aubameyang was more integral to that Arsenal team than Jadon Sancho is to this Man United team.
Agreed.
And a lot of us now look at that and think that was sort of the making of Arteta when he got rid of Aubameyang there. So and he didn't have those sort of credentials behind him at the time. He didn't have the strength to lean on to go, look, I'm the guy steering this ship in the right direction, so you can trust me here. And now it's looking like it's transpiring that obviously he is, and that decision came off trumps for him.
The key thing that we're forgetting about here is we're all taking for granted that they're going to be able to offload Sancho and that there'll be clubs lining up ready to go. I'm going to tell you now, Sancho will sit there. He's on 350 grand a week. No one is going to be able to afford the wages. They won't be able to get him on loan. So, I actually think it's actually naive from what Ten Hag has done, because he knows that he won't be able to get rid of him.
So now you've basically got an unsellable asset.
Yeah.
So the likelihood is you're going to have to pay a high percentage of those wages. So let's say another club wants to loan him. What's the maximum that they're going to be willing to pay per week?
100 grand.
Dortmund can have him pretty much for free when it comes to a fee, because they're still paying off instalments. So say they owe 40 million or whatever it is.
Why would Dortmund need him now? I don't know why Dortmund would take him now.
Well, they're actually saying that Dortmund are the front runners for him. Maybe it's just an easy comparison.
They would take him.
Okay, so let's say he goes back to Dortmund. So now Manchester United are paying 250 grand a week to Jadon Sancho. Dortmund are paying 100.
Just because he won't apologise.
But to be fair, let's hear Jadon Sancho's side of the story out, and I'm just going to put this across from him. Allegedly, he believes it doesn't matter what he does in training, it doesn't matter what he does. Ten Hag has Anthony as his guy. And while Anthony is fit, it doesn't matter what he does in training, it doesn't matter what Anthony does. He knows, Ten Hag knows, I'm going to be judged on my signings, not the last guy's signings. And I need Anthony to fucking pay off. So I need to fucking play him. So I don't give a fuck what Jadon Sancho does, because I need Anthony to show that I was right about.
Yeah, but you're right.
But don't you get pressure from the club though when you do that? When you got a player that's on 350 grand a week? Aren't they looking at you?
I think
like,
you create
mate,
a problem when you show that an asset worth that amount of money has no value to the club, because then the clubs who are coming in for him go, why the fuck should we pay him money when we know you don't want him and he's a nightmare for you? So you on your own have driven the bargaining power to zero. You have no bargaining power now. No. So I think the one thing that you could say about Ten Hag is, could there have been a way that you could have had that original conversation that you had in front of the cameras about him not training hard enough in private? And I know people have been on this show, I think KJ, shout out to him, said, at the end of the day, he was just speaking the truth.
Nah.
And I get it, but it's putting Man United in a difficult position now.
He should have had it behind. He should have had it behind closed doors, because for me, like I said, the context was important. Yeah. You did it after the Arsenal game when you conceded in the last minute to that Declan Rice deflection.
Yeah.
You were pissed off. Let's be real. You guys thought you at least had a point in the bag, and you was annoyed. And I felt like, I don't want to say pinned it on Jadon Sancho, but for me it was unnecessary. He could have easily just said,
it was a little bit Glenn Hoddle, to quote the
It was Glenn Hoddle. We didn't need to throw him under the bus like that and say he's trained Paul this week, that's why he's not in the squad. There's so many other things he could have worded and then had that conversation behind closed doors. So I understand Jadon Sancho's frustration. But also, that's why it's weird. If I'm Ten Hag and I've done that, I don't care if I've done that and then you tweet out that basically I'm chatting shit. It's a problem.
I think this shows.
It's a problem.
I think this shows one of Ten Hag's biggest weaknesses, in that he is more of an old school disciplinarian manager, and I don't think in modern football you can run football clubs in that way, because you've got lots of prima donnas, young players that want to be.
He done it at Ajax.
Loved,
he done it at Ajax.
Yeah, but I don't
give a counterpoint, and you let me know what you think. Arteta did it to Aubameyang. Everyone applauded him. It worked out well. But Arteta wasn't having multiple fallouts with multiple players like Ten Hag is. So anyone in the comments who's sort of getting...
Come on.
Good save. I do think that there's a pattern developing here where Ten Hag is... I like that. We love no bullshit managers, because we think you absolute overpaid pricks.
Who else has he fell out with, though?
Well, there's been issues with Maguire, Ronaldo. Ronaldo was definitely a problem.
Rashford, disciplined.
McTominay.
Rashford, McTominay. But I'm not saying he's wrong on any of those. I'm just saying he's a no bullshit guy, and I respect that. But like you say, can the big pampered egos of modern footballers handle that? Some of them can't. No,
but you waste talent. And
if there's one thing I hate, it's that. All right?
No, but I'm an England fan more than a Man United fan, right? And for years, Jadon Sancho was developing so nicely in Germany, and we were all excited for him to come over to the Premier League, play well. Let's be very honest about it. It was always a bit of a daft transfer when you bear in mind that he played on the left for Dortmund for years, and United are always going to play Marcus Rashford on the left-hand side. And whilst Anthony obviously is Ten Hag's boy, Anthony's got a left foot. So when he plays on the right-hand side, he can cut in. Sancho is never going to look good. He's also not fast enough for the Premier League, by the way, Sancho. But I just think it's so depressing that a player that was that promising, he might have attitude problems. Half of them do. You don't think half these players are arseholes?
Yeah.
Of course they are. That's the job, man.
A lot of people
That's the
saying
job.
a lot of people saying that Cole Palmer has an attitude problem.
You-
For
Of
example,
course
that's
they
what they're
do.
saying. That Man
Of
City
course
were
they
happy
do.
to
You know
see him
the
go.
you know the ironic thing about this Sancho thing as well, yeah? Of course, all right, his best football was played at Dortmund, but you look at who he's playing alongside. He was playing alongside Haaland at Dortmund, and obviously they complemented each other massively, and he was able to lay on creativity and assists for Haaland. Now, you know, he's at Man United. They've never really had a player who's in that sort of mould. Now they got Højlund there, right?
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah,
not
yeah,
just
I like where
making
you're
the
going with
comparison on his name, but I'm actually saying, like, he's sort of in that mould a little
mate,
bit.
he is.
I actually think that it's disappointing that we're not going to get the opportunity to see maybe how them two link up, because sometimes one player can get brought in, it massively complements that player's game, and then all of a sudden they just completely evolve as a player and it revolutionises the way they're playing. And I actually think there's potential when you look at the relationship he had with Haaland and the style of play they were sort of showing week in, week out. There's potential there that he could come in and do a really good job partnering with Højlund as well. But
When Højlund came in, he must have been like, oh, come on.
Yeah, it's a piss take because KG talks about how often have we seen a Sancho game for Man United where we're like, what a game. We haven't, but you're missing a key component. Like, would Kevin De Bruyne look as good without good strikers in front of him who he could feed like Aguero, like Haaland? It helps. It absolutely does help. You can't take that away from him. So to now have that ability to put Højlund up front and to not give that chance to Sancho is a shame.
I just think develop the kid. Like, if you're a coach, if that's your thing, especially you come out of Ajax, the whole point of Ajax is you develop young talent. Like, give him.
But you know what? His argument would be, you know, I sent him away to get his head right. Where did he go? He went to a personal camp for something.
Amsterdam.
For a while.
do you know what? I've gone to damn many a time to get my head right. So,
We all know.
But yeah, I mean, that would be his argument. But I hear you, though. I think he should be just, you know, rolling up his sleeves and really taking him under his wing.
Can I just say also, right? I know that Ten Hag might think, oh, well, that's not my job. I am the first team coach. But also, like, if, for example, you completely cut off the relationship in your head and you think, right, I am done with this fella, do you not then have to go damage limitation and think, okay, I'm done with him, but other clubs might not be done with him? So instead of me outing him in the media and me showing everyone that, you know, he's going to be a bad influence on your dressing room and whatnot, why don't I nurture this in a way that then my employers can then go and get the maximum amount of money for him if we're able to move him on?
For Sancho, did you have to put that kind of like the statement could have said something along the lines of, look, I agree to disagree with the manager. I thought I'd been training hard enough. Clearly, I need to up my levels, and I'm going to do that now. But I really have been trying. Like something that is a bit more, you know, palatable. It was very like. It was kamikaze.
He didn't need to pin it.
There's two egos at play there, isn't there?
But you're going to lose. It's the manager. Like, to be fair to Ten Hag, the issue is this is a bit of a. We're seeing a few of these with Ten Hag, and I don't think it's going to be the last by any stretch of the imagination. However, if Newcastle could sign Sancho, I wouldn't. Just based on that statement, it was too your ego for what you've achieved in the game. You need to calm yourself down, Paul.
I also just think, like, culturally, like, Ten Hag's never managed in the UK. He's not managed that many English players. And he's probably not managed like players before. I'm not saying there won't be any that have just looked at him and thought, mate, you're a right prick, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying he is, but like that is what Sancho's probably
He's never managed
doing at times.
superstars. Like Ibrahimovic said it, Zlatan. He said, "Look, going from Ajax, where you've got a bunch of potential young kids who are wanting to learn the Ajax way, is completely different to." Like basically superstars who've already proven to a degree they deserve to be at Old Trafford.
Sancho's probably got a nicer car than him. You know, but he probably has. Do you know what I mean?
Shit.
Yeah, he tweeted that.
No, but seriously, but
true.
let's be serious about that. Has he ever managed a 350 grand a week kid before? That's a big difference.
Yeah.
Those Ajax kids don't have anything like that kind of money. And when you're Jadon Sancho, you know that. He's not stupid.
When we're looking at it from like Sancho's point of view, I know in my personal life how stubborn I can be with things. Even if I know that it shoots me in the pocket, it shoots me in the leg, I know that I'm like, nah, I ain't taking that on. I'm not working with him. I'm not whatever. I know how I can be with things like that. So of course, someone with an ego of a footballer, rightly so, you know, been playing at the top level since they were a kid. Of course they're going to be that.
But you know what else it is as well? People always look at like the actual incident and they never really look at it from the point of view that it could be the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
Like we don't see their
clearly.
interactions
Yeah, we don't
on
know
a
what
day
happened.
today.
Yeah.
We don't know if Ten Hag's being a dick to Jadon Sancho in a training ground or in
I've
the
got no
canteen
doubt he
or,
probably is.
or whatever. So he's probably thinking, "Fuck this!" Like
Yeah.
this guy's then thrown me under the bus in front of the public, and I'm not having it now. And now he wants me to come lick his ass basically and apologise.
It did feel
Do
like
you know
a
sometimes you
final
have to do that
straw.
in life? though?
I've lost jobs I needed because my manager was a knob. Like literally.
Oh
loads
yeah,
of
yeah,
times.
yeah, yeah.
Chelsea.
My pride will leave me broke. I don't mind.
Oh, he's busted it over the fucking
Gusto on his
Gusto.
He had
left
no
foot.
gusto with that. It's horrible.
You've been practicing that one.
It's just the obvious part, isn't it?
So Gusto picks the ball up here, takes a shot,
Lovely touch from Cole Palmer there.
and also Sterling, very good
Yeah,
run.
Sterling did
Yeah,
well.
credit to Cole Palmer and Sterling. This was great movement here, and Gusto just fluffed it with the
It's
left
such
foot.
a shame that it's on his
Should
left.
have went for the far corner.
I know.
Chelsea been all right though.
We've looked good.
It's been a battle.
We've looked
Chelsea are
good.
walking through our team. Every
Yeah.
time Chelsea get the ball,
Been a
they
battle.
walk through
I
the middle of the
can't
pitch.
correct me if I'm wrong, mate. I can't remember like a gilt edge chance.
This is a
We've had.
better performance without a striker from Chelsea. Like, it just shows how shit Jackson must be.
To be fair,
No. Come on, Brian. Don't
I
say
knew that
that.
would get you.
Yeah.
No, we can't have. We got to give Jackson time. No, seriously though, is watching this not making you guys think? Fuck me, like our strikers are shit.
I
No,
know.
because I actually think we could be playing better in this
I think
match.
we could.
Oh really?
I think we've got another level to go to.
Yeah.
I actually do. And I think Jackson would be giving those two centre-backs a lot more of a problem than
Yeah, he's a
maybe
good
they're
runner,
getting
to
at
be
the
fair.
minute.
I think
Like,
Broja even as well. I think Broja could be like bossing the
I
defenders.
just don't think Broja's there yet. But also, like, I think one of the things that Jackson's underrated, you know, like when we say about how wasteful he is, yeah, there is like the other side of things as you don't get an opportunity to be wasteful because you don't get yourself into those positions. And when we were saying about underlying numbers and things like that, the chances are you're either clinically wasteful and it's like, you know, a crippling disadvantage you've got there, or eventually you're probably going to start coming good. And maybe it might take you a few more chances than the average striker. But guess what? You're creating a fair few more chances than the average striker. So I do think, I don't think it'll happen this season, but going forward, I do think Jackson's going to evolve into a striker that hits between the 15 and 20 mark per
I think
season.
the only thing that I would say to that though, mate, is that I could see us signing another striker, and I could see it being someone like an Osman, and I could. See
I don't
Jackson
want
playing.
Osman. I'd rather have Ivan Toney, to be honest.
I feel like we're gonna go. We're gonna go for Osman. I
The thing
can
is,
see it.
you put a striker on the pitch now. If you take Conor Gallagher off this pitch, we start creating chances.
It wouldn't be Connor that would drop out.
There you go.
Ooh.
I'll have the penalty there.
It
Is it a
wouldn't.
pen? No.
He's appealing. Raheem Sterling went down in the box.
Well, you take one of the
Ref
front
not
three
having
off.
it.
I think it would.
Nothing
it would,
given yet.
It would either be Sterling or Cole Palmer probably that drops out. I'd say if you're going to put a striker.
You can't drop Cole Palmer.
No.
I think he's one of the most important players in our
Got
team right
such
now.
a hard on for
He
Cole
loves
Palmer.
cool Palmer.
Honestly,
Cool Palmer.
We take a drink every time he says Palmer. No, to be fair, he's been class today.
Who
and
has?
Palmer. I'm like, no,
Hey, he was waiting for that.
real talk. I've been really impressed with him because
Lovely pod.
to be fair, a lot of fans get overhyped when their team beats a fucking cuckoo.
I'll tell you who's
Burnley,
been class.
right?
Cucurella. Cucurella is having
I
it
called
on.
it first.
He's having a great game.
Raheem Sterling picks it up
in
on the
here.
right side. He's got runners. Palmer, left foot.
Cold
Good ball.
ball.
Is it? Enzo's
Enzo,
Don't do
over
it.
the bar.
Don't do it.
Oh, he's shot.
He
Enzo,
loves a
Enzo,
shot.
I love Enzo.
He
right?
loves
And
a
everyone's having this
shot.
argument whether Enzo's world class or not, and I think he'll get there. He's the most bang average shooter I've ever seen, and it's just not him.
And do you know what, Joey? He loves a shot
I
as
know,
well
yeah.
from outside the goal. out
What's
of
your
the area.
thought on that? This here. You know when someone's running at full speed and you kind of just nudge them like that?
I think
don't-
that's a great challenge.
I don't think it's enough to be a pen.
It's not enough.
I think that's
but
great.
no,
Would you give it?
I don't think it's a penalty. I just think it's an interesting one because he's running at full speed and Martinelli's kind of like shoved him, but he hasn't actually played the ball at all.
Yeah.
He's kind of just like shoved him. You know what I mean?
I just don't think they give those.
You've got to
Nah,
be clever
don't.
with it, haven't you?
Yeah.
Sterling-
what's clever?
Sterling used to try and get a lot of them for City. I remember
Yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of those where he'd just leave a leg out when he was going in the box.
Yeah.
My most frustrating thing about Raheem Sterling, aside from the terrible shooting, is how much he slows the game down at times. For someone who's got quite quick feet, you pass him the ball, and there's times where he'll just stop and give the opposition time to get back.
He takes so many
Maybe you haven't watched him like enough in depth, but I actually think that that's one of the main. No, I'm not disregarding that. I would agree with you completely over the last couple of seasons. This season, that's one of the main things I think he's changed about his game, and I think that comes from the manager. Obviously, Pochettino said to him, "Mate, take the handbrake off and actually go for it now." And you're seeing that a lot less. I would agree with you in the past, but this season he's sort of changed that.
And if you look at the average position charts, Sterling is always our most furthest forward
Yeah.
player.
Really?
Every
It's funny
week.
because when I was watching your live reaction, Josh, to the The Burnley game last week. And
Oh,
you
here
said
we go.
He was slowing the game down tremendously.
Do you know what? He
but
has
apparently
done
doesn't
that.
agree with me. this
Exhibit
week.
A.
Fine.
Yeah, exactly. No, do you know what? I think last season he did that quite a lot, and there were a couple of games like right at the end where he was just so slow, and like all of the Chelsea fans, it was really bad in the stadium. To be honest, like people were actively booing him because he was just every
Poor guy.
time.
Can I ask that? Because I know like what me and Josh feel on it, and this is only half time right now, but from non-Chelsea fans, are you guys starting to see sort of like Pochettino's team here coming together now?
I don't know. Do you know what it is? I always thought this was a weird game for Arsenal playing you guys here because you have turned your form around a bit. But coming to Stamford Bridge, like you were saying, off the
Pissing
back,
down as well,
it's
isn't it?
pissing down. But off the back of that win against Man City, even though there was an international break, I just got this weird feeling that it would be a very tricky game for Arsenal. So if you guys go on to win this, I'm not really going to use this as the bench. It'll be a massive win for you. Don't get
Come
me
on,
wrong.
mate.
No, it'll be a massive win. But I don't know why. I need to see a bit more
It could
consistency.
be huge for Chelsea as well as not completely derailing Arsenal. Like Arsenal are undefeated this season, so like the losses are going to come somehow.
Result. This is a bad result if we lose this. It's not. I tell you what, it's a bad performance. This has been a
the main
dreadful
thing, yeah.
performance so far. I wouldn't mind if we'd properly gone head to head, created a few chances, and you know you get sucker punched with a bad penalty. Fair. I don't think your keeper's made a save.
But I think you have gone head to head. I think you've got to give some form of credit to Chelsea there. I think you have gone head to head.
Based on the stats, we got 7 shots to 2 for Chelsea, with two on target for Chelsea, none for Arsenal. We'll talk about neutrals. I think it's Arsenal aren't playing well at all, and Chelsea are playing quite well. So, because when I'm looking at Arsenal here, they're away. Arsenal have got Newcastle at St James's soon. I already know that Newcastle can play better than what Chelsea are now at St James's. So I'm thinking, if you guys come to St James's and play like this, we'll absolutely run you over. So I think that's another thing for Arsenal is like, being a title-winning side is about pulling through those difficult games. And like you said earlier, if you can't do that, this is a good test to find out what you're made of mentally.
He's got to make a change. He's got to
Big
make a
time.
change.
What would you
at
do?
half-time.
What would you do?
Oh, you need Havertz.
Party's got to come on. Party's got to come on for Jorginho. Jorginho's getting completely overrun. We're not penetrating through the middle of the pitch at all, and they're just running through it.
I'd consider bringing on Trossard as well, because someone who's just direct and a real threat.
The thing with Trossard, the thing that I'm looking at with a lot of our players at the top of the pitch is we're not keeping the ball there. We're just not keeping it. Like Gabriel Jesus, his touch looks like a trampoline today. Like the ball's just bouncing off of him. We need. It sounds like a mad thing to
these
say.
games, though.
We need Havertz.
Yeah.
We genuinely need Havertz.
Where would you bring him on? Would you bring him on number 9 position? That is a very
Why
very
do
brave
you need
call.
Havertz?
Because we
what
need a
about it?
focal point.
Yeah.
We need, because we're not passing through. We're not managing to pass through the Chelsea team. We're not managing to progress the ball properly. We're going wide, and Cucurella's having the game of his life against Saka. Martinelli's getting no joy on the other side either. So we need some way of getting like up the pitch and keeping the ball there. Jesus has had a really poor performance so far.
I've got to say, you're right about Cucurella. He's having he's been on steroids from the get-go here. And as much as everyone slates him, you got to give him credit when he is playing well. He's playing well. We're going to quickly touch on the Newcastle situation. Tonali, it's all happened very, very quickly. The Ivan Toney situation seemed to drag out a lot longer. They've got him into investigation. He's admitted everything immediately. Yes, I've been gambling. I'm an addict. I've got to be honest, I accept that there's going to be skepticism when a footballer gets caught gambling and then they claim they're an addict. Like
They always
do. So we're going to say, okay, you might be an addict. We're not saying we don't believe you, but equally, it's a shame because every footballer says it. So they'll know when they look into his gambling habits. So if they look through everything, they'll know: are you a casual better, or is this just a true addiction? Paul Merson's been on about it today and saying, it's wrong that they are getting banned. These players have addictions. They should be treated in a different way. And I just wanted to know what the table made before, because I am going to be biased to some degree, but also I'm going to try and be honest. What do you lads make of the Tonali situation and these long bans of... the rumour is a year will not see Tonali kick a football.
You got to do it to Tonali what they did to Ivan Toney.
Let's just examine that though. Like, is the fact that Ivan Toney was banned for that length of time a fair thing?
Well, I think what you've got to look at is why you're doing these bans. Like, what is the point of the ban? Are you doing it because you want to punish these guys? Because you want to make an example of them? You want young players to look up and go, "I'm never going to do that." You know, is that what it is? Is it punishment, or are you doing it because you're going, "Oh right, well, if Tony's betting on his own team, he might play differently," and then that that ruins the competitive aspects of the game. You've got to look at that with Tonali and go, if it's a case of banning him to prevent him doing things he shouldn't do, playing in a way he shouldn't do, compromising the sporting integrity of the game, then it doesn't matter whether he's an addict or not, does it? It doesn't really matter. If I go out in my car tonight and run someone over and I go, I'm sorry, I was drunk, I'm an alcoholic, it doesn't matter. I shouldn't be driving the car. If he's going to ruin the game, if he's going to compromise the sporting integrity of the game because he's going to be betting on himself, betting on other teams that are playing his team, blah, 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 you have to stop him playing football now. If you're doing it to punish him and make him feel bad and to treat other people a lesson, then you can have the argument of going, is that the right thing to do?
Are we in agreement that there should be a difference in punishment based on, are you corrupting the game by performing badly, deliberately giving other teams unfair advantages while betting on them, deliberately getting yellow cards and the like, which was suspected of Ivan Toney, which kind of was why we all expected quite a bad ban, because there were some seriously weird things that had gone on in previous games from him. With Tonali, I'm like, we've just signed this guy. I'm excited. We spent 60 million on him, whatever. He's the biggest Italian fee player in Italian fee ever and all of that. Exciting times. We've barely seen anything of him. He's already going to be out for a year. It's absolutely insane. So if he's been deliberately throwing games or anything, throw the book at him, I accept that. But if he is a genuine gambling addict, do we not think that there should be differences?
You can do both though, can't you? You can punish him and say that the sporting integrity is paramount, and we need that to be able to function as a sport and as a entertainment, a game that we love. But you can also then say, while you're in that punishment, you can have therapy. We can help you. There's no reason why both those things have to be exclusive.
So that's a great point, but equally, I guess the counterpoint would be, you're saying you can do both, but if they're not the same, so should they not be treated differently in that sense of a guy who's corrupting the game of football versus a guy who has a mental illness? To punish a man for doing what is his mental illness, to do that, to punish him so badly, is that only going to make things worse for him, make him feel worse, then make him then more likely to do worse things?
As a rule maker, how can you ever decide if someone actually has a problem?
Well, you can't decide. From Paul Merson's words, because I don't know anything about gambling addiction, I'm taking my lead from this guy, which is, if you look at a gambling addict's betting apps and the records for everything that they've got their hands on, you should be able to decipher between a guy who's deliberately trying to throw matches. Let's say he's betting against AC Milan, he's betting against himself to get a booking in the 70th minute, whatever, versus he is constantly gambling on all these football matches, fights, horse racing, everything he can get his hands on. You should be able to distinguish between the two and therefore potentially treat him for what we think he should be deserving.
Are they allowed to bet on other sports?
Yeah.
Other sports? Any other sport?
I've got a clue, I'll be honest with you.
No, I think
They are. So they can bet on a boxing match or...
Yeah.
Okay, so then, but that's the thing. If you are an addict, right? A gambling addict, you don't have to necessarily bet on football.
Yeah.
That's where it gets a
but
bit
addiction
dodgy.
isn't about control, bro.
You're right.
You go to the fridge and you go, you're an addict.
But isn't it about...
You're a food addict, but you don't have to have a Snickers. But that Snickers be calling.
I get you. But isn't it about the feeling that comes with it, the rush, the sensation, the kind of... You know what I mean? They're paid very well.
Do you not think
Can I
there's
say
a part
one thing
of not
just to give
taking
you
any
context?
accountability here, though?
The alleged thing that was, like, he had a superstition about if he didn't bet on AC Milan to win, that they wouldn't...
Mate, he's betting on illegal gambling websites. It is as bad as it possibly gets. And he's converting people to bet as well. So he's got a young mate and he's telling him to go, oh, do you know what? Don't go on Bet365. Go on this illegal betting
he's
company.
converting them,
Can we
He's
get something clear?
them.
Whether he was betting on an illegal gambling website or a legal gambling website, gambling's gambling. Who gives a fuck what website he's using? The way you've put that makes it sound like this dirty secret. It doesn't make a difference.
If he's broke the law, he's broke the law.
Yeah.
Like, if he's using an illegal gambling website, he's broke the law. So at that point, you go, well, as a club, do you want your players breaking the law? That's a completely separate thing there, whether he's an addict or not. If you broke the law, you broke the law. And I'd imagine most of these footballers, athletes at that level, they have a contract that says you break the law.
But if we're judging players on footballers on morality, like for me, if a footballer privately told me, and I was interviewing him afterwards, he was like, "Yeah, I've been betting on football, but I only bet on an ACCA and I bet on my team to win, and there's nothing in it." I honestly wouldn't give a shit if every single Newcastle footballer did that, because does that change how they play on the football pitch? No. Does it shite?
Do you know what I think there actually should be? I think that footballers should be allowed to have a bet. What I think there should be is there should be an app. You get your PIN for it when you become a Premier League footballer or whatever, and all your bets are then basically monitored under this app. You know, you can't bet on your own team and whatever, and then you're basically saying to them, look, it's a controlled environment here, but you are allowed to place your bets. Of course, you can't bet on your own team, you can't bet on matches that involve you and things like that, but then it's organised, it can be controlled.
I understand the argument against it.
If you're done out of that, you can get the book thrown at you. But I just think there's a massive lack of accountability here. Like, I get the society we live in, the day and age we live in, we all, and I'm not suggesting anyone around this table trying to do that, but we all want to look in a way like we're very sympathetic towards things. But at the end of the day, you know you're not allowed to gamble, right? Or especially betting on matches you're involved in. You say about addiction, yeah, all right, it might be calling you, but at the same time, I know plenty of alcoholics who don't have a drink until they finish work. Like, at the end of the day, when you're paid that amount of money that footballers are, one thing you do when you sort of waive your right, we were saying this about the Greenwood situation, you waive your right to be able to make these little mistakes and things like that. That's part of the hazard pay. That's part of the money you're paid. So by that logic, I truly believe that obviously, you know, when we look at things like this specific situation here, you need to be able to have the accountability to go, I might be a gambling addict, that's completely fine, but I'm still able to make conscious decisions to go, yeah, but I'm not going to do that's going to get me in trouble.
Okay, you've said a lot there. So on the one hand, with gambling, with addicts, like any addict, the scale varies, right? So we all know people who can hold their alcohol addiction till a certain time of day and then they get legless, okay? But we don't know where he is on the scale. So I have no idea on that. I think your idea for a betting app is good, but also I do understand that the reason, there's another reason. Footballers talk. You know who's on form, who's injured, who you get information, inside information. It makes your bets less fair than the average guy on the street betting who doesn't know all these things. So I understand why footballers shouldn't bet, and I'm not supporting that they should. I'm just trying to explore this in a...
Can I ask you a question without trying to at all write off what Tonali has said and what the people around him are saying about him being addicted? We're talking about betting here. Imagine you're a bookmaker, right? Give me odds. What are the odds on the next player who gets caught saying they're a gambling addict?
100%.
Of course.
1,000,000 to 1 on.
Yeah.
So now we're setting a precedent, aren't we? Whether it's right or wrong, whether it's true or false, you know now every single player that gets caught for this is going to say, well, I'm addicted.
Just going back to the length of the ban.
The length of the ban is harsh, in my opinion.
What is the length? What is the length?
year.
It's looking like a year.
They haven't officially.
The other guy's been given a year, so what they're expecting is parity. You know?
It does feel harsh. It does feel harsh. The only thing I would say is it kind of has to be harsh to deter players from doing it. If it's not harsh and it's like 4 months, more players might think.
Remember when Rio Ferdinand missed his drugs test? How long was that?
8.
8 months.
Was it 8 or 6?
I thought it was
I can't remember.
Right, okay, well, to me,
Less than a year.
performance-enhancing drugs, a potential of that being in your system, right? Now, I'm not saying that's what Rio was doing, because I don't think it was, but let's just say a player does miss that kind of drug test. You having an unfair advantage to that level on the football pitch, to me, is equally as bad as this, if not more bad, because actually gambling could be completely irrelevant to what's happening on the pitch.
But then what if it's you just got something else in your system, you know, a bit of cannabis?
Yeah, well, whatever, you know what I mean? And
That's just gonna
the real
pay.
thing is just purely out of speculation of what PADs do and what length of ban they get.
I think, right, knowing what we know and seeing how often it's coming to light now, right, there's a lot of footballers, and I mean a lot of footballers sitting there now.
Shitting themselves.
Oh, especially in the lower leagues.
Yeah.
Like when you get to like League One, it's prevalent there, honestly. Not that
I
it's
bet
literally-
Vardy's prolific.
Well, yeah, but no, but it's not just prevalent there, but also at that level, you got a mortgage to pay. You got kids to feed. It's very different. Like Tonali, you know, the thing that a lot of people don't understand with footballers' contracts, it's not just set 200 grand a week. You get your 200 grand a week. It's simple as that. A lot of it is whether you play or not, whether you do this, blah 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 blah. And if you get banned for a long portion of time like that, there'll be some kind of insurance in the contract where you don't get paid properly. If you're League One and you don't get paid, that's a problem.
Yeah, you're fucked.
That's a serious problem. And that's why, you're right, they do have to set a bit of precedent with this. At the same time, you do have to think about the well-being of the player. And at some point, you have to acknowledge the fact that half the teams are walking around with betting companies on the shirts. Like there's
That's the problem, the hypocrisy.
These players have literally grown up. You're like Ivan Toney, how old is he? 28?
Yep.
He's grown up in this culture. He's grown up in this culture. So at some point, what does he say? Like, what do you expect me to do? But bear in mind, these players, they can't party.
Some of them really, can we just clarify though? One thing I want to say is some of them really are betting addicts. Like Michael Chopra, who played for Newcastle, basically was notorious for, like Kieran Dyer sat down and told me about, he would be betting wages he didn't even have on contracts he hadn't even been offered yet. Like, because he was seeing the culture of the club and he was trying to bet along with the big boys when he was just breaking through into the first team as the next Alan Shearer. That never happened. And he was getting into trouble. And Kieran Dyer was having to say to people like, don't fucking bet with this guy. Like, so some of them really are addicts. But I'm not defending Tonali here, actually. I'm actually really angry. I'm fucking pretty furious, actually, because he hasn't been pulling up trees since he came.
Can we also just say, did AC Milan know about this?
Well,
because it's very interesting that they sold one of their best players for a big load of money.
No, he was Mr. Milan. It wasn't even. It's like John Terry leaving Chelsea.
But this is the thing,
mate. He
At
was
that young age,
bro. He was
how old is
homegrown.
he? 23, 24.
Yeah,
isn't
and
he?
also he was the most expensive Italian player ever.
Yeah.
And he was the guy who everyone was like, that guy is Mr. Milan for the next 10 years. Loved the club, grew up there. There was no reason for them to need to sell him, essentially, aside from, all right, it was good money, but...
And they made Leao the guy now.
And I've got to be honest, there's sympathy there if he's in a bad way mentally, but as a Newcastle fan, my loyalty is to my club. And essentially what you've done is you've hidden that from them, got through the doors. We're now stuck paying you a massive contract that could have went to a Maddison who's absolutely tearing it up right now, who we didn't sign. We signed this guy as the priority. He's been good at times, but he's been average at times. I don't know what the hell we're getting in the long run, but one thing I do know is a year out on the sidelines isn't helping anyone. And I'm really, as much as it's hard because I don't, the guy might be going through something here, but for Newcastle's sake, I'm really fucked off about it. Like, you haven't been great since you've been playing, and now this, like, and you knew the whole time. So, all right, you're an addict, but you're a liar. Because there was no way when we did our personality check that this was on the fucking radar. And we're now spending a fuck ton of money paying this kid every week for the next 12 months. And for nothing?
Yeah, but then how much responsibility do you think lies with Newcastle for not doing that due diligence on him?
Well, that was the maddest thing is Eddie has this thing about the character of the players he wants.
Yeah.
He's very big on that. But you'll never know if someone is gambling.
No,
like
but
that.
what I mean is if AC Milan were assuming or potentially knew,
I bet you.
people, like you said, people talk in football, right? It's like, it's not going to be, if they know, then surely someone's told someone else. There's got to be murmurs at least of it.
Well, I bet you there's legal action being considered by Newcastle right now.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. There'll be something in that contract that saves them a bit. They won't be paying him his full wage anymore. But this is part of the thing though about buying from Italy. It's very different from buying from Spain or Germany, where you've probably got a few Spanish players already, a few German players already. Italian players never come to the Premier League. There won't be those kind of connections. Newcastle won't know people at AC Milan. Do you know what I mean? That's why something like this maybe can slip under the radar just a little bit easier when you're buying an Italian player from an Italian club where you've got no relationship.
I've got a question for the table. I just want individual answers, just for my own. Okay, if a footballer is caught betting, but he is not betting against his own team, it's not corruption. He is just purely betting for the love of the betting. Do you punish him?
He's done it! You all wrote him off! You all wrote him off! And I've been waiting for this moment. You all have said that he's not good enough. Every single one of you, except that man over there, Joey. And he's just smacked it in from the left-hand side. Mikhailo Mudryk. The narrative.
Josh,
the narrative.
Was it across?
Josh,
Was it across?
He meant
Josh, that's
Was it across?
The one
Jacob,
time
Jacob,
Josh
Jacob.
was celebrating, he didn't even mean it.
Jacob,
He
was it
didn't
across?
even mean it.
Was it across?
If you score that in your 11-a-side game, you're claiming that as a goal.
Yeah, but that's not what
Simple
we're
as
asking.
that.
Did
Let's
he
see.
mean it?
Did he mean
meant
it?
it.
Let's have a look. Let's
Of
have a look.
course he meant it. Don't be so naive.
2 weeks ago, I sat on this show and I said that just wait.
I'll tell you
for
right now
Mikhailo
if he meant
Mudryk.
it.
No, what it is.
No
meant
way
it.
did he mean that.
He didn't mean that.
Look at the keeper.
I need to see where he's looking. I need to see where he's looking.
Sometimes you put the ball into an area.
No, I didn't mean it.
Sometimes
He
you put
didn't
the
mean
ball
it.
into an area where you know it's like we used to sit with free kicks all the time, right? You put the ball into an area
didn't
where
mean
you
it.
know
He
there's a
doesn't look at the
chance
goal. He
someone
didn't look
gets
at
on
the
the end
goal.
of it.
Look at the goal.
He did not look
He doesn't
at the
even
goal
glance in its direction to check
That
it.
is what the best players can do.
Quality goal.
I can land a left hook on someone without looking at their
Just
chin.
said it was a
I've got to
no
give
look.
credit
It was
on
a
though.
no look goal.
Did anyone, like, when Ronaldinho scored that goal back in the day, didn't matter if he meant it, did he?
Yeah, exactly.
So fair play.
I don't care.
Fair play.
All I care
I'm going
about
to ask this question once again.
Cole Palmer.
So fine. The
We need
question.
to question about.
Help me figure this out, just in terms of what is right. If Tonali is found to have only been betting on games for Milan to win and harmless stuff like that, and he isn't involved in any corruption, do we think that should be the same ban if he was fucking deliberately getting yellow cards and all of that?
Absolutely not. If you're throwing matches, if you're involved in the outcome of what you're betting on, it should be a much more serious ban. If you are just having an accumulator every single Saturday and you're putting teams that you don't have any involvement in that match, I believe it should be a lesser ban. If it was down to me, as I say, I'd have a system where players can put a bet on.
What do you say, lad? Same?
It's a tricky one because like it's not the same, but this is the reasons I don't even do like fantasy football and stuff, because it's like I don't like splitting my loyalty among different things. Do you know what I mean? So when you got another team, maybe you're not betting on your own team, but then you could bet on another team that's potentially in a title race with you, or do you know what I mean? Or a team that you're fighting with for relegation places. It could get a bit weird. Do you know what I mean?
I think there should be a disparity between the length of punishment, but I still think the punishment should be just as severe because we care so much about this game, and like you saw how invested I am in this match, right? I've watched football for a very long time. I've been lucky enough to have a season ticket at Chelsea for a very long time. If I knew that any one of those games had any question of being thrown or wasn't completely fair, it would ruin the love of the sport that I have. And so I feel with these guys, you have to punish them because we love this sport. And if it's affected by people doing stuff they shouldn't be doing, I think it does ruin it.
You know the thing about Tonali is he was Mr. Milan, dedicated, absolute, like seen as a warrior for them. And he definitely didn't play the game like someone who had twisted loyalties at all. And I'm very angry at him. I feel like we've been lied to. I feel like we've wasted a lot of money. And just on him, right? When I look at the entire transfer business that we did this summer, you think about what we're looking to achieve, Newcastle, on all fronts. We've got two fullbacks who are backups, who are kids, right? They're not playing. They're not starting ever. Oof. They never start games. Then we've got Bonds from Leicester. He's injured. Then we've got Tonali, who's out. So right now, Newcastle's transfer business in the summer, as much as those lads might come good in the future, it's not helping us this season. We're basically down to almost the same starting lineup as we had for the entirety of last season. And I don't know how we're going to cope. I think we're going to, the ironic thing, and we're about to piss some people off with, we got the Saudi Airlines transfer of money coming in from that new sponsorship. But we're going to go into the transfer market in January. We're linked with Calvin Phillips, but I wouldn't be surprised if we start looking in that Saudi league and going, give me a loan of the Wolves lad who went there. Nice loan there. Like, I think we're going to have to bend some rules here to deal with what we're going through.
You're right to blame Tonali though. Like, this is his fault. He knows that he can't be betting. Yeah. He can't be betting, and he has. He's broken the rules, and he's going to be punished accordingly.
And that was the thing that Paul Merson wasn't coming out with, was like, there was just no accountability.
Oh, we know why Paul Merson's not.
Paul was just very like, it's not his fault and all of that. And I'm like, look, I'm not saying it's his fault that he's a gambling addict, but the fact that he kept it quiet, and now we're in the situation we're in, we've paid all that money, and you've got Maddison tearing it up down the road. It pisses me off.
My sort of final word that I would say on it is I completely agree with Josh in terms of I think there's a way that we can sort of battle both cases here. We can punish Tonali, and at the same time, if he is a gambling addict, we can give him help. But it's just my opinion that the way society's going and whatnot, it's very much looking like we're looking to go, okay, well, you're a gambling addict. I just don't believe that's right. That's not the way that I would deal with things.
A year seems, and I'm not just saying this because it's a Newcastle thing. I think for any footballer to use a year of your career for placing some bets, if no corruption is going on, is harsh, and it's a lot. You know what I mean? It's a massive loss to your career.
But the punishments, Brian, have to be severe so that people don't do this.
That's what
like
I'm
if
saying.
if it's just a 2-week ban, like people will be betting left, right, and centre. Like it has to be severe. It's the same with doping.
In
It's the
compared
same
to
with
taking
doping.
performance-enhancing drugs, it shouldn't be more severe than that.
Yeah,
And
but
it
you
is.
taking testosterone, making yourself slightly better, is very different from you completely throwing a game.
But that's
or
not
being
what you're
involved.
saying. We're not saying he's been proven to throw games. We're literally just saying he's gambled on games.
He's better on his own team to win.
To win, yeah.
But that's the- I don't- that doesn't matter.
Realistically, if you're not betting on your own team to win, I'd question you even more then. Like, like as in, that's fine to me. I don't see a problem in that.
It's really bad to
Betting on your own team to win.
Ivan Toney had bet on his own team to lose, hadn't he?
When he played for Newcastle, but he wasn't actually playing in those games, to be fair to him. So, like, the point is I accept Josh's point. You need a severe punishment to deter people, but we're also not using a lot of common sense in what is going on here, in my opinion. And it's just like this blanket attitude to stop people from potentially being corrupt. But if they're not actually proven to be corrupt, should we punish them as corrupt anyway? It's a bit. Do you know what I mean? Like, shoplifting and stealing a Lamborghini are two different things.
But what we're talking about, Brian, is whether he's going to get a 3-year. But what you're talking about there is whether he gets a 3-year ban or whether he gets a 1-year ban.
I think 3 years is insane.
If you
mental.
no, but
Insane.
no,
3
no,
years, you've ruined his career.
But the 3-year
Absolutely.
ban. Can I just say the laws are there for a reason, right? The 3-year ban is if he's actively bet on his own team, he's changed the results of matches, and he's actively
So corrupt.
resulted in
Yeah,
something,
corrupt.
right? So that's why that punishment is there. He's never going to get that because he hasn't done that,
Okay.
right? But that's what we're talking about here. It's not whether he is going to get nothing or a year. It's the difference in punishments. That's all we're talking
and that's what
about.
I'm saying is I think a year, if he hasn't done anything that severe, it's a lot. It's a massive amount of time to lose, and I think it's excessive personally. And I would say that about Ivan Toney. I'd say that about Tonali. And one thing I realised when the Tonali thing came out on Twitter was how much of a threat people see Newcastle as these days, because Twitter, before we even knew the full story, was on fire. Like, got to ban him. And I was like, oh, you motherfuckers, you're threatened by us now. And I've never known that. Like, because Newcastle have never been that club. I'm like, people care whether one of our players is banned. This is mental. And not only did they care, they were begging and praying for it. Like creating tweets to get as many retweets as possible. Like, I was like, wow, like, we've arrived now, actually.
Yeah.
Like, that
But
actually told me that.
But when you're at the top, mate, that's going to happen more and more.
Yeah.
It's that,
Yeah.
People are going to be
quite
coming for you.
interesting.
And actually, because of the Saudi investment, you're going to be one of the most hated teams in the league very soon.
Well,
you're
let's
going to
talk
be
about
up there
that a
with
little
Man
bit.
City.
The Saudi Airlines money has come in. We're getting compared to Man City now because we've got all these little sponsors. What do you think the vibes are at the minute with Newcastle? Do you think we are going to be that hated club? Is it happening already? Are we poisoning it?
I think you're going to be right up there with the level of hate that Man City get. When you think about a state-owned club with the sponsorships that you already have 4 sponsorships that come directly from the PIF.
Do you know why I think we won't? Because City did it when there was no regulations, when they were able to go from 0 to 100 overnight, and there was no way to slow them down or stop them. And all these other clubs were actually being run quite badly. So City are we'll never see another City, in my opinion.
I was going to say, like, in the long term, it's going to benefit you massively. In the short term, I only think it's sort of even in the playing field, because I actually think you've been hindered so far. Hindered a lot more so than my club, Chelsea. The man. Oh my God, here we go!
Raya's made a massive mistake and he's brought Palmer down.
No, he hasn't.
What has
He's made up for it.
Ramsdale done to Arteta's wife? What is going on? What is going on?
Mate,
He's just watched the cross go over his head. He's doing this. Why is he still on the pitch?
Jacob, are you blaming him?
at that.
What was that? No, Raya literally just passed the ball
And
And
to
he got away with it. He
Cole
got
Palmer.
away with it.
Jacob, are you blaming him for that Madrid goal?
A keeper shouldn't concede that. A keeper shouldn't concede that.
This is why
harsh, it's harsh, it's harsh.
with
What
what
you're saying is
Arteta
harsh.
has done here,
Shouldn't concede.
with what
Harsh.
Arteta has done here, that he knows that Raya's going to be in the spotlight, right? So that means that any mistake that he makes, everyone is going to jump on him.
That's
so
the
this
life
is the
of a
thing.
keeper, though.
No, but it's
just the
especially
life-
poignant now.
What do
know
you mean?
the-
Look at Onana.
Yeah, true.
It's the
Yeah,
life
but
of a keeper.
That's not so much in this situation the life of a keeper, because I know that when Ramsdale was in there, he knew that any mistake he made.
Oh, he's got to score that!
You lot have burnt
Cole
2
Will's got to
chances right
score
now.
that. So
Scored
Cole
2 and
Will's
all.
just put
It's
it's
offside.
Offside. He knew it was
I'm
offside
so
anyway.
lucky that was offside. Colwell should have buried that.
He's just put a header over
Mate,
the
that
bar
was
from
pathetic.
6 shots
I
out.
would say, like, when Ramsdale was in goal, he knew that any chance he, got wrong, any mistake he made could be his last mistake before he gets dislodged. I know that Raya, even once he's made a mistake like
gonna
that, He's going to play next match.
And the thing is, you don't mind, except Arteta's done this whole thing of going, well, I'm going to chop and change. It's I'll go one game for this, one game for that. Mate, that's not the case at all. David Raya's our number one now. David Raya's our number one. And I know it's harsh. As soon as you concede a cross, you have to look at a goalkeeper. In the same way as when a keeper concedes straight from a corner, you have to look.
But
at
there's nothing to say Ramsdale wouldn't have conceded that. Like Modric was surprised he even scored himself, despite what these two are saying.
Ramsdale isn't coming back. Can we just say that now? Like,
Yeah,
there's no way.
Do you know what I think it is? I'm not even an Arsenal fan, and when I look at Ramsdale play, sometimes he just looks very emotionally invested in the game and the situations and stuff like that. And as managers, you don't want that. You want someone that's cool, calm, collected in situations. You don't want, like the other day, I don't know what game it was where he finally got a start. He made like a save and then he gestured around and he went like this to them. It was just
while the ball was in play.
While the ball was in play. And it was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, all right, they've probably been giving you stick behind the goal, but you're turning around while the ball's in play.
I think Newcastle are linked with him, actually.
Who, Ramsdale?
Yeah.
Would you have him up?
We're also Smith Rowe. Smith Rowe as well.
And you're linked with our boy, Andre Santos.
Yeah, you are, which would be a very
very smart move. Would you have Ramsdale over Nick Pope?
It's hard because
if he comes in, sorry to interrupt you, but if he comes in, he's not going to swap the same situation at Arsenal for the same situation at Newcastle, as in battling it out with another one for the number one. He's going to want to go to a team on loan or on a permanent transfer that he knows will be number one.
Is he?
He's about 25, I think, isn't he? Yeah.
Okay, I think the thing with Pope is, that wasn't good.
That's not good. Is that a pen?
No.
It looked like there was a bit of a punch there from the keeper that might have gone awry. Jesus looks like he's yawning in his bed now.
By the way, Ramsdale isn't on the bench. Did you know that? Yeah. Ramsdale's apparently injured.
Well, the Pope thing, going back to that, look, Nick Pope is a decent, a good shot stopper, but the way he commands the box isn't great. It fills me with worry sometimes. He comes out, even today, he got caught out in no man's land. You're like, what are you doing? But it doesn't happen loads. No. So it's one of those where you're like, it's not broken. But we do have to start thinking, how old is he now? 33, 32? He is getting on, so we do need a younger guy.
When you look at progression as well, obviously at that age, I'd argue that a goalkeeper can still have 5 years really at that age. But if you're looking at that progression, the way things are going, buying a top young goalkeeper as well that meets the English criteria that you need for your squad, I think Ramsdale.
Neither of them have been able to dislodge Jordan Pickford as well.
But again, there we're not going ultimately only on performance there, because then you could say about, well, Gahey hasn't been able to dislodge Harry Maguire, but we'd all sit around this table.
I know, but the goalkeeping situation just looks like that should be easy for one of them to, Jordan Pickford.
Yeah, but then the centre-back situation looks like it should be easy. Yeah. I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm just saying, I think by that logic, all the rules go out the window.
Yeah. I think a lot of players like Ramsdale will be looking at this transfer window in the summer after a tournament, which we know is Southgate's last tournament. Ramsdale's going to be looking at that window and going, right, that's when I make my move to try and become England's number one.
Is he not looking in January?
We don't know that, by the way.
I don't think he'll look in January, because I think from his perspective, he'll go, well, look, he's not going to move somewhere in January and dislodge Pickford in 6 months, is he? So why not wait till the summer and get a proper move?
He could go somewhere in January, have an absolutely barnstormer second half of the season, still not getting picked for that team.
I think for Newcastle, I wouldn't go for him though. Only not because I don't rate him. I just think what we need to look at is what Liverpool did with Alisson and Mo Salah. If you look at their team, those two players give Liverpool a fighting chance in almost every game, and going the extra mile in buying an expensive keeper, but who you just know you're going to get so much longevity out of. It seems pricey at the time, but it's one of those where I think it's worth taking the hit on a goal scorer and a goalkeeper, because they're the two most important ends of the pitch.
Do you not think Pope is maligned in a really unfair way, though? He was part of the best defence in the Premier League last season, and people are just writing him off. I think it's unfair. I think it's really unfair.
The only reason I'm speaking like this about Pope is his age. It's not that I don't rate him. I just think we'll have to accept, even though keepers do have it longer, we say that because of the Van der Sars and other keepers who've gone on, but sometimes some of them, when the reflexes go, it can happen out of nowhere, and I think we should be thinking about it.
Fair enough.
And because right now, if you look at what Eddie's doing, he's got the left back from Chelsea, Livermore right back, Sven Botman centre back. So we need one more centre back for a real young back four who are going to carry us for the next 10 years, arguably, and then a goalkeeper, and then we're laughing. And the one thing I will say is that he's doing that kind of under the radar a bit. So far in this game, lads, Chelsea are battling for every ball. Arsenal don't seem to be able to get back in the game.
No shots on target for Arsenal.
Chelsea are putting in such a good performance as well in the way that they're managing the game. Like, we're pressing them every time the ball goes backwards. You see the possession stats. We've got like 36% possession in this second half.
But it's where it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's what you do with the ball, and it's the pressure you put on when you're off the ball. I just think Chelsea are playing this match so well, and I think in the last half hour we've got of this match, from an Arsenal perspective, something needs to drastically change, because it's all well and good having a late onslaught, but you need to only be 1 goal down by the time you do that. If it stays 2-0, you can't get to the 80th minute or something like that and then think that something's going to be able to drastically change. And if anything, at the minute, of course, I'm riding high on a wave of confidence here, but if anything at the minute, the most likely thing is that you lot pile on the pressure and that we end up catching you on the counter one more time.
Josh is thinking, shut up right now.
Yeah, I definitely don't want you to
I'd
jinx
say
it.
get at least to the 70th minute.
Yeah,
And then
I'm not saying anything.
Arsenal are perfectly capable of scoring 2 goals out of nothing. I'll be real.
We are capable of doing that with that front line. What's confused me in this game, I don't get, like, he's taken Zinchenko for Tomiyasu. That's not going to help us build play and create chances. I say that.
You're
Tomiyasu
literally,
plays the ball.
that would be the most commentator curse thing in the world, with Martinelli here on the wing. If you are going to change it, Jacob, how would you change
You've
it now?
got to put Thomas Partey on the
Yeah.
pitch. You've got to
Is that
put
the-
Thomas
is
Partey
that
on the
and
pitch.
Trossard.
Something has clearly happened with Partey.
Yeah.
There's no reason for him not to be on this pitch. Right
Is
now.
it as simple as a conditioning? So we've just seen Nicholas Jackson come on.
Nicholas
And
Jackson.
Mudryk is going off and he'll have a standing ovation. Easily the man of the match.
Oh, shut
What?
up, man.
For
He's
that
not
cross?
the man of the match, man. He's not. Look, I'm not going to say an Arsenal player's the man of the match. So far,
Cucurella.
Conor Gallagher's been absolutely
Connor's been
immense.
very good.
Caicedo's made some amazing challenges.
There is no way he meant that.
I think this will be one of those games though that the Arsenal
Celebrate like he did.
Yeah, he did. Where the Arsenal fans will have to go and say, "This guy, he's got something. He is a decent player."
He has got something. Look, let me be really clear. No one's saying that he doesn't have something. He has something. It's inconsistent, and he needs training, and he's not ready to be a starting level player for any top 4 team. If you start him at left wing for the rest of this season, he doesn't score 8 goals.
I think if he's under Guardiola at Man City, he's better than Doku.
Hold on. If we start him at left
not?
wing, for
Guardiola
another
makes anyone better.
31 games, he doesn't score 8 goals.
I don't think he'll get 8
No, I
goals.
have.
He's already got 2. You don't think he gets 6 more?
I don't think he'll get 6 more. No, I don't think he
No,
will.
mate. If he start, mate, because there'll be games when he. Oh my God, that was a
Was that
brilliant
Colwill?
block.
Colwill just put his body on the line there. Well done, mate. Oh, this is stressful, lads.
It's even more stressful when you're 2-0 up.
Yeah,
and
I
you're
know.
like,
That's
oh,
why
we
I'm
could
worried.
pray it
about.
away.
I know.
2 goal leads, but mate, the clock's ticking on. It's
Here we
this
go,
every
Raheem
single
Sterling
time.
breaking. Now we've got
Jackson's
Jackson
in.
straight away.
Jackson's in.
Jackson,
Right,
oh,
take
my
his
God,
shot.
he's
it.
Can he shite?
Oh.
Dave Jackson is shite.
What on earth was that?
Oh, God.
What was
Play
that?
Play the ball.
He didn't even get a shot off.
You'll never have that moment over me, Josh. Jackson will never come. No, I don't know.
He's
Can you
only
say-
just got on the pitch.
Wait,
You've got to give
Joey,
it-
wait a second. Brian, can you just finish that sentence? Because I just want to have
Yeah,
that
I'm
bit
joking.
ready.
Do you know what it is, though? That to me. Oh, that's a real chance for
Thiago
Arsenal.
Silva showing why he should
Top
come in the
5,
top
top 5, top 5,
Yeah.
top 5.
I think
top
with
5.
Jackson, there's a real chance he can come good because he makes good runs, but his finishing is horrendous. Like, even the way he had to make sure it was on his stronger foot. Like, any other striker in that moment, right foot rattles it across goal. He didn't have the confidence.
No.
And I do understand that as a young lad, you miss a few chances, your confidence goes, you start overthinking it, and in time, he might work through that. But
And he almost had 2 bites at the cherry there, because Raya should have come, hesitated, and it gave him that extra second to be able to think about what you're going to do. And then he still ended up getting it
you
taken.
seen Pochettino?
He just nearly kissed him.
No, but he's doing that thing that he gets. You said it, Craig, ages ago about poaching those youngsters.
Yeah.
He gets in their heads, makes them love him like a dad, and then
Yeah.
they run through brick walls.
Yeah.
For him.
Mate, I feel awful because when they first appointed Pochettino, I openly said on my channel, I don't want Pochettino. He's an ex-Spurs man. Why would I want a manager who was an ex-Spurs man? I absolutely love the fella.
It suits the project that you're building. That's
it
why
does.
it made sense to get him. He
Young
worked
players.
with young players. He showed at PSG, you know, the superstars isn't really his thing. He doesn't want to deal with those egos. He wants young players you can develop.
You know what's funny though is 99% of Manchester United fans, when Poch was available and Ten Hag was available, they all wanted Ten Hag.
Yep.
And they said, "Not Poch isn't the guy. Poch is the wrong guy." Yada yada yada.
But he probably is the wrong guy because they got all old pensioners at
Well,
their team.
Poch gets a song out of Sancho.
Sancho.
What I would say is, for me, Poch is a way better manager than Ten Hag is, and I think we'll
Yeah, I
see
think
that
so.
proven in time.
Do you know what I liked
think
about
so.
Pochettino as well? Although I was sort of pulling my hair out as a Chelsea fan, thinking, okay, what direction is my club going to go in? The fact that he waited, and the fact that he waited, do you know, like from when he was first sort of, we're being told, offered the job, took him about 2 months to take the job. And
Yeah,
I
because he
think-
was waiting for us to come back, mate.
I don't. I
We went and
actually-
got big hands.
Do you know what? That could. I'm not even going to say that can't be a possibility. I think it could be a
was a
possibility. But
possibility.
if we look at it from the other side and say that he probably waited because he wanted to be convinced on the project that he was having, convinced
Agreed.
that the personnel was going to be right,
Yeah.
and that he was going to be given the tools that he needed to build in this project. And so far, look, we had a little bit of a rough start. Nothing said now. Like as we were saying, Arsenal could score a couple of goals. But
No,
I'm
like
absolutely loving what I'm seeing these past
No,
few weeks.
listen, honestly, today you lot have been really, really good. And Cucurella's impressed me.
This is the thing, like when we're watching it, like Joe and I obviously watch every single game. Like when we've watched them, we've seen the performances have been good, and we definitely, like the West Ham game was awful, the Nottingham Forest game was awful. We've had some really bad.
West Ham game was all right.
It-
The Forest game
the
was
fi-
awful.
It's been your
Second
finishing.
half.
It's been your finishing, hasn't
The
it?
thing is we are looking okay, and we saw that there were green shoots there, and today's one.
Oh, it's a real chance. Oh, that was a lovely touch by Jackson.
Great
lot
play
could
from
have- you lot could
Cucurella.
be like 3-4-0 up in this game, really,
Yeah.
truly.
Yeah,
if you were.
really good. Really
I
good.
feel that this is one of those moments, and obviously, look, it's early in the season, but I feel this is one of those
Stop
games where
caveating everything.
It could be
Put your
a
balls
really
on the line,
important
Josh. We wanna
moment.
know what you're thinking.
Yeah, I think it could be a really important moment for our season. I really
Oh,
do.
mate, everyone in Stamford Bridge right now was thinking something's happening now.
Yeah.
Like, this is a mega moment for our season.
Yeah, and I'm not saying we're going to win the league, but
But
No.
what this is a proof of Pochettino's methods
Come on,
starting to
Gallagher.
take effect. Conor Gallagher with the left foot.
if I know we don't want to speak to if we do win this match, yeah, are people around this table that aren't Chelsea fans and aren't invested in it saying, right, you lot are right in the mix when it comes to those top 5 positions? We'll
Yeah.
probably move up. We'll probably move up to about 8th in the league or something like that. Surely you got to put us right in the mix when you're looking at not just where teams are right now, but also like you look at Brighton's recent performances. Yeah, they haven't been great, but they're still sitting about 7th in the league, something like that. But you're looking at the run of play at this moment in time right now. Surely you put us right in there, didn't you?
In there for what, specifically?
To finish top 5 and get Champions League football.
I think you're a threat, yeah. But I'm not... There's a potency issue when I watch you guys. Like, obviously, you've scored goals today, but when I look at the kind of goals you've scored, right? One was a penalty and one was a fluke cross. I'm not looking at your team thinking you have as much of a threat as what we
Yeah.
do in our side. And I don't even think Newcastle are the most potent.
No.
But I think you're building something that if you do drop Ivan Toney in January, then I'm fucking scared.
Just
Yeah.
to, I don't even know if this does counter that, but just to sort of touch on that, there was a time only a couple of games ago when we were getting these sort of gilt-edged chances that you'd expect us to be finishing. The XG was favouring us really highly, and we were missing them. And we were all saying, like, eventually the luck's going to swing and the tide's going to turn a little bit. And now we're actually seeing the last few games, goals that we wouldn't have been putting in the back of the net and chances we wouldn't have been putting in the back of the net are starting to go for us. So I think actually over the course of a season, it probably will level itself out. I think we still need a potent striker, like you say, but I do think that things are starting to level themselves out.
I think we need to give Jackson time as well. I think this whole potent striker thing, like Jackson might not be the guy, but we need to give him at least, until January to say whether he is or he isn't.
Mate.
He
He's not
looks
the guy.
he looks like a B striker to me. He looks like a B
Jackson
striker
is not
to
the
me.
guy. And I don't say that in like, I'm not happy to say that because actually when he scored against Newcastle in pre-season, his run was outrageous.
Pre-season,
I
he was
thought, Who the
unbelievable.
fuck is it? Looks like a
Pre-season,
young Andy
like
Cole, this
Pele.
kid. He looks, but in front of goal, his composure is absolutely gone. So I don't think that anyone at Chelsea should be thinking, yeah, he'll come good. I don't think you can have that level of faith logically.
You don't think so?
We're not seeing any reason to think his finishing is up the scratch of Premier League.
I
And
think
he's not
that's really
ambi-pedal
harsh.
either.
That is a quote, that is. I love
It's a
that.
good
I'm glad you
callback.
brought it back.
I think if you get Ivan Toney, yeah, I'm then scared because, as I said before the game, the midfield battle that you guys are capable of having with any team in the league, once these guys get used to playing with each other, and you get the lad who you signed for 50 million back from injury.
Lavia.
Do you know what I would say though? Like I would say
The one from
Nkunku.
No, the other one, Southampton lad.
Lavia.
Lavia.
sorry.
Finishing is an aspect of the game which like involves confidence massively, yeah. Pace, it doesn't matter how confident you are. If you're not quick, you're not quick.
Yep.
Yeah. Finishing is one that when you sort of light the touch paper, it can start to come. And I do genuinely believe that with Nicholas Jackson, there's a good chance that once he starts to find his finishing boots, you're sort of erring on the side that it's not going to happen. But if it does happen, I just look at the positions he gets into. I look at the style of play that he has, and I think he could.
Do you know what it reminds me of? A bit like Daniel Sturridge. In terms of movement, that little touch there to Raheem was beautiful. Like, and he's not the smallest guy, but he is quick. He's got every good component. And if the finishing starts happening, absolutely.
He's 23. Can we just put this into... He's 23 years old, right? He's not an experienced player. He's a player that is malleable, is going to improve.
How much did he cost?
32 million.
Right, okay,
quid.
so
peanuts.
But
Peanuts.
For you guys, that is a cheap signing. Yeah, for you guys.
I think even when you touch on Sturridge there, with the right players around him, he did become prolific for a short amount of time.
That's the thing about Chelsea is if you can start creating too many chances so that at some point the goal... Well, you know when we'll find out? When he scores one or two. If he scores one or two... and he doesn't go on a run, then you know. But with a Jermaine Defoe, there's players like that who they score one and then it's 10 in the next 15.
He's got 2 and 2 in his last 2 matches so far. So let's see.
It's
Let's
who
see how
they
he
were
does on
against
it.
is my question.
Yeah, fair enough. And
Fulham and Burnley, you need to do better.
And why didn't he start him today? I know you said he had a bit of an
He had
injury.
an
No,
injury.
he's literally got a cast on his hand.
I know, but if you're on the bench, you're fit enough to
No,
play.
but he's come back. He didn't go on international break. Like, he has got like a break in his wrist. So
Oh, sorry, I forgot we're playing basketball.
You know that the thing I'm surprised about, and I want to get Jacob's take on this. Arsenal have not come back into it. Like normally with Arsenal, whenever I watch them, no matter what happens against Spurs, they're always in the game. They're right there fighting tooth and nail. In this game, Chelsea are seeing it out quite comfortably.
There's something that's been bubbling under with us all season, and that's the way we create chances. And I've told myself it's because we've had Eddie up top and not Jesus. We had Jesus today. I think it's one of the worst performances I've seen in an Arsenal shirt from Jesus. I think there's a problem with our midfield. Xhaka's gone. Partey's basically not in the team anymore. We don't look right anymore. There's something wrong in that midfield. And what I will say about Chelsea, because what I don't want to do is just say Arsenal were bad and Chelsea, and that's how you got the win. Chelsea have been good. Where Chelsea have really impressed me today is that midfield. And we're talking about Lavia coming from Southampton. Mate, he's
not going to get in the team.
You don't take Conor Gallagher out that midfield. He's been unbelievable.
Yeah, he has.
Connor wouldn't be the one that drops out if Lavia goes in. And do you know what? Like, Lavia is going to really struggle to get anywhere near the team.
Lavia doesn't get
Like,
the-
Ugo Chukwu has been the backup to these players that are playing today. And even he looks
But the fact is,
very
Conor
strong.
Gallagher is surrounded by £200 million centre midfielders next to him as well. Like, so when we're looking before the game, like at the start of the season, you should be giving everyone a run here. The fact that you weren't was kind of comical for a lot of other people, but we're now seeing the real level of some of these lads.
Chelsea are bopping it right now.
Also,
I can't lie.
when you look at recruitment, right? When, say for example, Brian, your team, Newcastle, remember when they went down to the Championship, they didn't have a fire sale. They backed themselves to be able to come straight back up and take that 1 year of loss on the wages and the players they had there because they'll be able to come straight back up. And I feel like what we've done is backed ourselves to make European football. So with the recruitment that you see now, we like, you can say we spend too much at times, but with the likes of Lavia and that, okay, yeah, maybe they might not play a pivotal role this season, but next season when the games are coming thick and fast because we're back in Europe and you know the injuries always accumulate themselves at Chelsea, these players are going to be real viable options for us to be able to lean on and be able to replace quality with quality.
That's a real chance! It's 2-1! Declan Rice!
Come on!
What the hell was the keeper doing?
And now there's 14 minutes. Game back
Boyhood
on.
Chelsea boy.
What was the
Boyhood
keeper
Chelsea
doing?
boy.
He rolls it straight to
That's
Declan Rice.
huge.
He
That
celebrated
is
as well.
huge.
He celebrated it.
That is huge, man.
So this was a mistake.
That was
from
literally a
Sanchez,
gift.
wasn't
Look.
it? Yeah. So
Watch this.
Cole will pass it back. Sanchez
Just a
passed it
gift.
out to
First
no
time.
one.
What a goal.
my
But I tell you
what a goal.
what a finish that is.
What a
Let's
goal.
see whose fault is this? Because
It's the keepers. Look.
the keeper tries to play it, and it's straight
To
to
be
Declan
fair,
Rice.
curse to the commentator, that's Conor Gallagher on his heels there.
Oh,
He's
no, that
not
was
alive.
Enzo. That was
What
that
a
Enzo?
finish that
Well,
was.
it's Enzo
though.
that
that
missed
was Gallagher. That was
No, it was Enzo. That
It went
missed
past Enzo,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
then it's Gallagher who's there competing for a ball with Rice, and
Yeah,
Rice
yeah.
is quicker on his
Yeah.
feet.
This is going to be a
2-2.
horrible.
Trossard and Havertz
Do you know
coming
what's
on
fun
now.
though?
2-2.
We've been singing Chelsea's
Yeah, we have.
praises, and now they really have to
Yeah.
prove
It's 2-2.
if they're
We have
about
to
that
prove,
life. Yeah,
yeah.
like because we're thinking like, oh, finally Chelsea are seeing the potential come to fruition. We've now got Havertz and Trossard on, and it's 13 minutes left to go. Like,
Who's he taking? Oh, I
he's
don't.
took off
He's taken off
Martinelli and
Odegaard.
Odegaard.
Wow, that's a
I mean,
break.
neither of them have done anything in this game, though.
That's
Like,
a
Yeah,
big
but
break.
I think if like we one goal down, you got what 15, 20 minutes to go. You've got to throw the kitchen sink at this.
How many
mate.
how many minutes of injury time have we got here?
Well, there'll
It's
be
gonna
10 minutes,
20
there'll be 10
minutes of
minutes,
injury
yeah.
time.
I'm telling you right now, Chelsea don't win this game. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, Josh.
I know, I can
You,
see
for
it.
absolutely
I can
no
see it.
reason,
I
he's
can
gifted
see
them
it.
a goal.
Yeah,
well,
I
it's
can
not a
see
gift
it.
because Declan still had to do a lot, to be
No,
honest.
but it was a gift, though.
It was
Like,
a
he's
gift.
passed-
If he
he's
doesn't do
passed
that,
it
there's
right
no
to
goal. So yeah.
This is going to be incredibly nervy. And do you know what? With the young side, and it's going to feel like I know what that ground will be like now. It will be nervy now.
That is-
in
The
in
thing
ground.
is, we said this before the game, we say this now. For either one of these teams, this is actually really decisive, this game.
It is.
Because if this young Chelsea team do see this out, and that crowd can walk out of Stamford Bridge today and say, we've taken Arsenal's scalp, that is massive for them.
Yeah.
If this Arsenal team can come back from 2-0 down,
They're
and
gonna-
the worst performance I've seen from Arsenal in maybe a year,
Yeah.
if they can come away with a point today, you look like title
It
contenders.
shows you are, yeah. It shows
Would,
you
would
are,
this be
right.
3 wins in a row for Chelsea if they say this out?
Yes.
4 if you include
Four.
the League Cup, but yeah, 3 in the league.
Raheem,
Go on, here we go.
Raheem.
Let's have a pen.
Right, corner.
Yeah,
surely?
why didn't he keep going and commit and get fouled?
you at the toilet there, mate? You feeling all right?
Yeah, bladder's on edge, but you know.
Bit twitchy.
Yeah.
Are we, Chelsea fans, are you pissed at the keeper for that, or is it just one of those things?
I think it was a misplaced pass, and I would rather he have just booted it.
Yeah, because we're here, yeah, I'm a bit pissed off at the keeper. But if I was in attendance in the ground, I want to keep morale up, and I'm going to say, look, these things happen.
You're so
we,
positive,
We
aren't you?
go again.
But this is modern football, though, isn't it? Look, we've literally just watched David Raya give one to Cole Palmer, right? This is it now. We have to get used to the fact that almost you can kind of expect that at least once a game, your keeper's going to put you in trouble.
And
I'm not
Poch is
jacking
saying
that. I'm sorry.
No, I'm not saying.
not jacking
mate,
that.
I'm not.
Do you
I'm
mean with modern
These are
keepers?
avoidable.
watching-
These are avoidable
We're
errors these
watching it
keepers are
every
making.
week. We're
Yeah,
watching it every single week.
I don't know about that, but I'm just saying, in isolation today, the 2 that the keepers have done today have just been poor. Poor.
Tell you what,
Lack of
Nick
concentration.
Pope wouldn't do that because he doesn't have any ideas that he's a quality footballer. Thank God. He might be caught running out into the middle of nowhere, though.
I guess what
Well,
I'm trying to
header-
say is,
header
what I'm
in
trying to
the-
say is, you got to blame the managers as much as the keepers.
'Cause they take more risk with the ball at
You
their
know,
feet.
these managers are saying to them, keep doing it.
What's
Keep doing
interesting
it. Don't
is that
lose your
for
ball.
the entire game, Sanchez has been actually going quite long. If you look at his passes, he has been putting it quite vertically and quite
Jesus
quite far at the
Christ,
pitch.
Chelsea's home form in the
Press.
last 11 games. 1 win, 5 draws, 5 defeats.
Yeah.
Arsenal are going to come
it's not
back.
been
There's
good.
so much time. This
Don't
is
say it.
crazy.
No
Don't-
wonder
don't
Josh
say
is
it.
letting
They
other people
are.
have his season tickets.
I knew this was going to happen because I was sitting here like, yeah, we're going to be
You're
the only
lucky bastard.
undefeated team. We're going to be the only undefeated team left. Of course, Arsenal going to fucking keep their undefeated, and I'm making it all about
Yeah, can you not?
my
can you not do
universe.
this? Yeah.
I know that's what I'm doing, but it's going to happen.
What I will say about Chelsea is they've got a lot of promise for years to come in regards to what happens this season. As long as they don't have a bad
Come on, Reece
season
James.
and that there's hope there, I think when they do start dropping in, they've built such a complete full squad of young lads that if they do stop dropping in that extra bit of quality here and there, like Bowley probably wants to, I think there's massive potential in this team.
Let's look from a half-full mentality. We now have an opportunity here. We had the opportunity to go and beat title favourites Arsenal, become the first team to do it this season. Now we have an opportunity to not only beat them, but to be able to show mental resilience, to be able to show mentality beyond our years in this match, if we're able to now see out this match. So we could potentially, at the end of the match, have ticked even more boxes here, and it could taste even sweeter because of that.
You're actually, no, you're so right. Like,
I think if you ask Pochettino though, he would rather have just
Of
taken
course.
the 2-0
Mate, you can,
clean
you
sheet
can
and
ask,
just to get out of there.
you can ask me. I'd have rather taken the 2-0.
I agree, but you actually will learn more now because of the circumstances are the stakes have been raised. And if these lads do want to do anything this season, this is a real moment of...
Because before we were saying, like, Arsenal hadn't really had any sort of gilt-edged chances. They hadn't really mustered up any real threat in the match so far. Well, at least now we can't say that. At least now we can go, if it stays this way, you've had to survive a late onslaught. You've had to be in a match where it could very easily turn. So
It takes a while. Like, I bringing it back to Newcastle, for me, last season, there was a good few games where we didn't have that mental strength yet as a group. And like we're not the youngest bunch, but we're quite a young team. And I think that has to come in time. But the earlier you can get that out the way and then prove it to each other, like it does build that confidence. Raheem Sterling's coming off
Reece
now.
James is coming on for Cole Palmer. That's the more interesting one. So this could either be a 5 at the back or it could be Reece James.
The problem is when you make those kind of changes, you're inviting pressure a little bit.
Yeah.
And I understand the logic. You want to tighten it up at the back, but also if Arsenal do grab a goal,
Yeah.
Cole Palmer's so good at keeping the ball. I will give it a little bit of context there. Cole Palmer was somewhat of a doubt
Yes, 'cause he had a
at
dead
one
leg.
point for the match. He had a bad dead leg. And now we've got...
When was the last time Reece James played?
He
hasn't
out
played
for
since before the Villa match.
6 weeks.
Yeah.
5-6 weeks. It's been a
it's
long
such
time.
a shame, man. He's
getting
such a
injured,
good
innit?
footballer, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's the best right back in Europe when he's fit. I think so.
Well, better than Kyle Walker.
Yeah, I think so.
What?
I think it gives you more going forward than Kyle Walker.
I don't know about that. Maybe he will in a year because Kyle Walker's getting on a bit, but Kyle
I
Walker's
think
still.
Prime Walker is a different conversation.
Prime
but Walker
Walker's
now,
different,
I'd probably, I mean, to be fair.
But we ain't even seen prime Reece James yet. That's the problem.
Oh, it's a good cross in for
out.
Arsenal! You two! Come on! Chelsea have folded!
Told you.
Unbelievable!
What
and
a
it's
ball.
Trossard!
What
And I
a
told
ball.
you, Trossard should come
told
on.
you. I told you.
What a ball by Saka that is.
I told you.
And mate, we got 10 minutes for a winner now.
Seconds after Pochettino makes those defensive changes,
I told you.
Trossard has hit one back post, 2-2.
Oh my word.
I'm going to go one step further and say Arsenal win this now.
That is mental strength
my
from Arsenal.
word. Come on.
Title race is on still.
That is Saka's quality, though.
I
That
can't
is pure.
stand this,
And I'll tell
man.
you what, Cucurella has had Saka in his pocket the whole game, but you only have to give him one beat.
Mate.
He finds that cross. You watch this ball in from Saka, it's unreal. Mate.
Saka's one of the best players England have ever produced, in my opinion. He's absolutely quality.
You watch this.
Look at that. Beautiful cross in at the back post.
Good finish.
Just a
That's sick, isn't it?
brilliant
Gusto
right foot
style.
But I'll
volley.
tell you what,
man.
I
And
was
the
just
lads-
talking about Reece James. I know.
It was Gusto.
It was Gusto, man.
completely
I
lost.
got it. I hate to do this, lads, but I got to go. How are you feeling?
It's just gutting. It's just completely demoralising. Like, we should have seen this game out, and like to make the defensive change, and then literally 30 seconds later concede a goal.
I literally was like, "You're inviting pressure," and
Yeah.
boom, goal.
Listen,
I can understand why it's happened though, because Arsenal do have quality. They haven't been up for it this game.
Oh my
but
God.
they're always there.
They're really going for it. Oh my God! He nearly scored. In Nketiah nearly made it
How did
3.
he get there ahead of Thiago Silva?
Mate, Thiago Silva's in the retirement home.
That's fresh legs.
That's
man.
why.
That's fresh legs.
Oh my God.
Mate, this is
Arsenal are going to
unreal.
go on and win this game,
Chelsea
bro.
look like
This
they're
is
mentally struggling,
crazy.
yeah. But like, this is why Joey said what he said about young players, right? Like, unfortunately, when you're young, as I said with Newcastle, it takes a little while to get to that resilience where you can look each other in the eye and go, "We got this," because you don't know. And they're still learning each other's games, and Arsenal are in full. They're still the Arsenal of last season.
Oh, Brian, this is hilarious though, because we were saying how much they were talking up about Chelsea, and they were good. We were
Yeah.
behind
we
it.
played
but,
very
no,
well.
I know, but we said, and I said specifically that Arsenal can just get 2 goals back like that. I said that.
I think the issue is, right, is I'm not going to take anything away from Chelsea because they have played so well. Like, Chelsea have been the better team for me, without question. And for that, Chelsea fans can still look at this game and go, look at what we did there, and take confidence moving forward from it. But right now, it's the biggest sucker punch
This
going.
is capitulating.
Let me just say, that is a world-class finish.
Oh,
from
it's
Trossard.
unbelievable.
Outside of his boot, when it's come all that way on a skiddy surface, that's a ridiculous.
I was saying they should bring Trossard on.
Arsenal win this game, man.
The problem is when you say Chelsea
telling
fans can
you.
take confidence from it, of course we can.
Yeah.
But it's not actually anything new to us. We outplayed Liverpool in the first game
You
of the
did,
season.
yeah.
You know, so
you've
we've
outplayed a lot.
He is
outplayed
raging. I've
But
seen this look for years.
But this the difference is, Joey, and you can tell us if you think I'm wrong, mate, is like, I think that this was even more of a convincing performance than that. It was
weren't
so good.
We weren't dominant over 90 odd minutes against Liverpool. For a good 80 minutes of this match, we've been pretty dominant.
Yeah.
And
also
limited Arsenal
pretty
to
perfect.
absolute minimal chances. But what I would say is we still got 10 minutes left. Don't think that all's said and done. Yeah, I
You
know
what my
Craig's
problem is
edging
with
towards
that
Arsenal
is
scoring
Poch has
again.
already, unfortunately, Poch has made his moves and they're not the most aggressive and most attacking,
Yeah.
and they weren't to shore it up. And now, so like I said, if you then concede, for me, the momentum's with Arsenal in terms of the
with Arsenal.
substitutions.
Yeah, Ollie, look,
we
watch
really
this.
need to
Come
take
on,
the
guys.
sting.
Come on,
Chelsea
guys.
need to
Arsenal
take the
before.
sting
And
out of this game.
he's got
now.
Trossard in at the back post again, and it's a good interception.
Well done by
Jesus,
Reece.
the fucking
Really need to
tension,
take this
man.
thing out of
The
this
thing,
game.
the thing is, though, both teams have got enough quality on the pitch to score a goal. It's literally going to be who has the best chance and who takes
Do you
it.
know what's mad? Before this game, I would have taken. I would have taken a
Come
draw.
on, Emil.
Before the game, I would have taken a draw and I would have been very happy with it. But the way the
But
game's
now, the
gone, I'm
Context.
gutted.
Not just that, you could have been 3 or 4 up.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah,
be clear.
we
You
did
had
say that.
opportunities.
Yeah.
If you get 3-0 up, the game's done.
Yeah.
They wouldn't
Right.
have come back.
Here's the thing, as an Arsenal fan, talking about the Chelsea team, I don't want to draw now. I think that they look vulnerable enough now that I want us to get
You've
a win
got to
in
go for it.
I'll almost be disappointed if we don't win this
Would you
game.
risk? Would you risk conceding another to go and get the win?
Yeah,
right now?
absolutely, because of the quality we have on the pitch right now. I
You wouldn't be cool with just a point and
I
just
want us to
walking
win
away.
this now.
How good is Saka when Cucurella has had the best game we've seen him have in a Chelsea shirt? Cucurella switches off for a second and boom.
This is the thing with Saka now, and it's something that Mo Salah's had for a long time, is you have to keep them quiet for 94 minutes.
Yeah.
They only need one sniff. That's the killer that Saka's become now. And it's not even...
Oh, it's too
Nketiah.
low. It's too low to be a red.
Those hurt though.
They do hurt. It's studs straight on the top
Dodgy
of his
talent-
foot, but it's
talent
not a
by
red.
Nketiah.
It's not a red.
But this is the thing I was saying about Saka. Think about where they gave him space. It's not like they gave him space in the box.
Yeah.
They gave him space on the touchline,
Yeah.
and he still killed them.
Yeah, it's a great ball, but I think Gusto has completely switched off on the far post, and he's lost his man in an unforgivable way.
They all
It's
do
young
that, though.
players, though, mate. It's young players. And Trossard, by the way, that's a seriously good footballer who's suddenly come on the pitch, is moving differently to Martinelli. Gusto, like I think Gusto's all right, but you're talking about, like, he's had to face a lot today.
Yeah.
Mate, the fucking drama in this game has been unbelievable. I'm so glad my team won 4-0 today and I don't have to. Fuck me. I feel
have to
for
say,
it.
the pressure before this game and the result for us, it meant a lot. And so Chelsea fans, we were incredibly nervous before the game. And I feel even worse now in the last 5-10 minutes.
Do you know what I'll
It's gonna
say?
be awful.
We don't get 0-0s when I'm in this studio. Last time it was madness, like Liverpool and Spurs, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, God, there you go. Goals scored between the 76th and 90th minute. Arsenal scored 3. It's
We
the most
love a
in the
late
Premier
winner.
League.
We love a
Well,
late winner.
Joint.
Joint, sorry. Yeah, we'll call that out.
That's
Give you your
the
moment.
one thing, you know, when
Come
you're
on, back
talking
to
about
quiet.
Arsenal.
Let's go. Play the pass.
Havertz. Is that Havertz?
Yeah. Oh,
When you talk about Arsenal's
ball by
mentality this
Havertz.
season, Jacob, and you were saying, like, you know, there's been some issues. The one thing
7
there's also
minutes.
been is the sign of a title-winning side is grinding it out when you're not playing well, and even if this is just a draw, I think this is like a hell of a win for Arteta to say we pulled it back.
Yeah,
Is it a better draw for Chelsea or is it a better draw for Arsenal?
Oh, it's a better draw for Arsenal because we're 2-0 down. Simple as that. It's a
But
better draw for Arsenal.
pre-game,
because we're
we
2-0
probably
down.
wouldn't have said that.
Pre-game, it's a better draw for
I
Chelsea.
don't think there was enough between the teams pre-game for us to be saying, like, I mean this to big you guys up, by the way. Like, Chelsea should never be going, I take a draw at Stamford Bridge.
Yeah.
The level of club you are, they shouldn't be doing that. This is a huge result for us if we hold on to this. I will say, though, the goals we conceded, if you'd have sliced through us through the middle of the pitch, nice passes, nice finishes, I'd have gone, yeah, okay, we played badly. When it's a penalty because of a handball like that, and I will say it was a handball, but it's an annoying one to concede, and then some freak cross that goes wrong, I can't help feeling a bit hard done by as an Arsenal fan.
Yeah, but
I
then
think
you
the thing
got
that
to
you
give for
can't-
their goal, though.
Yeah. I think the reason
we got to
the
give
reason
one.
you shouldn't, in my opinion, is Chelsea for me were the better side for the vast
For a
majority of
long-
the game.
and they had other chances.
So even exactly, they did have other chances.
I think if you look at the shots and the shots on target, we've been far more dominant.
But
than
can
That's
you
the
remember
thing.
a David Raya, like a good David Raya save? I don't think he's had to do a lot. And this is what I'm saying about Chelsea's the front end of your pitch. You got some great presses, and it's been impossible to play through you today. I really rate.
But the
Nkunku.
potency is the issue.
The potency, every time you've created a chance, it's come from a cross.
Yeah.
You've gone wide, you put the ball into the box, and yeah, you look good when
That's
you
what
do
we
it.
do.
But I'm telling you now, you need something else.
Little side note: Tonali was given a bit of the lap of honour today after the match.
Oh, there you go.
As a bit of a goodbye.
Never
I mean,
played
it's
for
kind of
Newcastle again.
hello and goodbye. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you. Do you know, like, it's just, and like, credit the Newcastle fans for like, the lad probably does feel terrible, but I'm not sure I wouldn't be giving him the V sign out, like, but I'm just not thrilled about this shit.
It's a sign
Do you know
of the
what I mean?
times, though, isn't it? That's a real sign of the times. 5 years ago, that doesn't happen, man. 5 years ago, you turn up for 80 million quid and it's your conduct that's getting you
Oh, yeah.
suspended. Mate, it's a different era now when you've got Paul Merson on TV saying we have to look after these addicts. I'm not saying he's wrong.
I think Merson looked at it from a very one-dimensional point of view, and he definitely didn't take any the fact of corruption and the reason why these rules are in place to his argument. You know, it's very much believe all gamblers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Former addict, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, that guy was addicted to everything possible, to be fair, so I don't think he's necessarily the best person.
He's addicted to CBD gummies now, if you look at his Twitter account. Yeah,
Who
mate.
isn't?
And to a point where he's like anti-gambling in football altogether, which for me is a bit mental.
was lazy.
Because, you know, just because you can't walk past a McDonald's without getting a cheeseburger doesn't mean that people with self-restraint should not also have the access to cheeseburgers. Do you know, I quite like a cheeseburger, obviously. We're in the last 4 minutes here. It's 97 minutes that we're playing till. By the looks of it, unless anything else goes wrong. Arsenal are in the final third, and it's a long-range shot.
That's so stupid.
That was a dumb
That's
shot.
so
Yeah, he's an idiot.
That was a
kid,
very
isn't he,
dumb shot.
sometimes?
Come on, Chelsea. We need to muster up another chance here. We got to.
I don't see it coming, Joey.
you
I
haven't
just
created
don't.
one in
I
the
don't
last
know where it's
10
going to
minutes.
come from.
And
We're very deep.
Yeah, I think if Cole Palmer was still on the pitch, I'd have a lot more faith in your ability to create something.
It's funny you say that, mate, because before the game we were laughing about how that he wasn't the guy to change the game.
You
know what I
have
mean?
You create a narrative a lot. Right? Just to be clear. I ask questions. I'm just trying to find things. Like with Mudryk, I'll admit I'm not sold on Mudryk yet. At all. I'm not saying he's terrible or
Come
anything,
on.
but I'm not sold on him. But Cole Palmer,
Yep.
I see the talent. Like, that makes sense.
Yeah,
to me.
barring the even with the goal, whether you think it was intentional or not, I'll be honest, it wasn't intentional. But barring the goal, Mudryk hasn't done enough today to go right. He is definitely the one in this team.
Yeah.
Cole Palmer has.
Yeah.
Cole Palmer's done enough to show what level you hold it at. We're not talking about competing for Premier League titles, but in terms of this team where it's at right now, Cole Palmer. Here we
come
go.
on, Jackson.
Here we go. If ever there's a time.
Saliba's there, he's not doing it.
Oh,
not a
got
bad
the
shot.
shot away,
He
though.
doesn't have any killer instinct.
It's another one on target.
It's another hesitation there from Jackson. But yeah, Palmer, he's a intelligent footballer in the way
Got the ball.
the way where he positions himself, and these
Yeah,
little. I'm not going to say he's like Mesut Ozil, but there's little flicks where you're like, okay, that's very like you know where every player is on the pitch at the time that you receive the ball to get the ball into Raheem Sterling to create the danger, and I think. I understand why Chelsea fans are looking at him going, he's one of our main threats now. But he needs help, doesn't he? He definitely feels like he'd benefit from having a guy next to him.
You look at how well he's performing right now. If we do get a prolific striker in there, someone that can put the ball in the back of the net, think how much better he's going
Well,
to
it's like what we were saying about Sancho and not being able to play with Højlund. Like, you know, these creative players, they need people in front of them doing that running. And to be fair, Jackson does the running. It's just...
Can I just say, if it stays like this and it ends a draw and we win on Monday night, we go 2 points clear at the top. I'm just saying.
Imagine that.
But we'll probably, if they draw, go and fuck it up on Monday.
You haven't been looking like that. There's no reason to doubt Spurs yet.
International break's not a good... we didn't need that international break. We was
well
in a
done,
groove.
Kai. Well done, Kai.
Oh, it's a
What's
free
he giving?
kick from Cucurella. Went down holding his head. Cucurella's probably been man of the match, arguably.
You think so?
He's been playing well.
do you know what? It's not going to go in his favour because he's been bought off, but I'd
You're gonna
say
say
Cole
Cole
Palmer.
Palmer.
Yeah.
Do you know what it is, though, in terms
You
of
love
like
him.
just absolute graft? Yeah, I maybe I'm giving it him out of like surprise. Like, well, you've turned up today.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I've seen
You
it.
all right?
I've seen it in the past few matches. Cucurella is doing a really, really good job at the moment. Conor Gallagher again has been really good. I'm not just being snidey because I support Chelsea. I don't think there's an Arsenal player that, and I think you
there's
probably
not,
agree with me.
there's not.
Really an Arsenal player that you'd give it to. So I
No
think
way.
you're either looking at Cucurella, Cole Palmer, or Conor Gallagher here.
Arsenal basically turned up in the last 10 minutes, and that's why it's going to piss Chelsea off all the more.
Trossard turned up in the last 10 minutes. Trossard is the best player on the pitch for us today,
Yeah,
and
he's been
that's
good.
dreadful. Like, obviously, it's that little bit of quality from Saka to find him, but in terms of our overall performance, you could say Declan Rice has been industrious. This has been a really concerning performance to me. Go and get the winner now, please, boys.
I think the fact that Jorginho started just shows a huge weakness in the team.
It's not just a huge weakness in the team. When Thomas Partey sat there on the bench, and bear in mind he played in the international break for Ghana, so he's not completely unfit. What I will say, and I love Arteta, and I think he's the best thing that's happened to this club in a very, very long time. Since we appointed Wenger, the best thing that's happened to the club is appointing Arteta. I think you're starting to see a little bit of favourites now. I think David Raya has not been
That's it.
perfect.
Full time, 2-2. Probably feels like a loss to Chelsea fans.
Go top.
But you played really well. You got a draw against a title, challenging team. The sad bit is Arsenal only turned up in the last 10, 20 minutes.
Yeah, but
And the
then-
substitutions, we literally called it like you're making a big decision here, and there's still quite a bit of the game left. Is there a question of Poch's decision making there?
I think it's very harsh to use the analogy that Arsenal only turned up in the last 10 minutes or so, because when you look at it, if we were looking at a boxing match, any other sport, we go, well, they were able to nullify them for that long. And I would more look at it like this, because when we credit the things that Chelsea did really well in this match, it was the way that we weren't allowing Arsenal to break through the lines of passes. It was the way that we weren't allowing Arsenal to create, how quick we were to try and recover the ball straight away. So I wouldn't say they only turned up in the last 10 minutes. I would say that the luck started to go from a little bit more due to the fact that they had, laid on good chances in that little sort of last period. But I would say on the whole, if you said to me before the game, 2 or draw, I'd have been very happy with it. Context is everything. And you're right, you do end up with a bit more of a bitter feeling there.
Is there any questioning of Poch for you, Josh, in terms of he took off some of your biggest threats and immediately the game turned?
I don't think they were directly related to.
I don't know how you can say that. I genuinely don't.
I don't think they're directly related. If you look at the areas in which they scored the goals from, so take the second goal for example. Saka picks the ball up. He's against Cucurella. Cucurella lets him do the cross, and then Gusto, who's been on the pitch the whole game, like he loses his man.
So the reason I'm saying that, and I would appreciate, like, I want to know if you really think this is wrong, because for me, when you take off big threats, the team are less scared and then can move forward. And when you bring on Reece James and a lot of defensive players, and you take off Cole Palmer, who's been a best threat for me, for Chelsea, the fear of being caught at the back is no longer there, and you can then go gung-ho. And I think that happened to me.
I think with Cole Palmer, as we said, he was coming off a dead leg. Like, we didn't know he was 100% fit. So I think that was always kind of in the plan to bring him off. You could argue that we could have gone for a more attacking player off the bench, but we didn't really have like another quality option to come off the bench. Madueke had already come on the pitch. We'd already had a lot of our attacking players already there. Jackson had come on. So I think when you're looking at the options, bringing Reece on isn't a bad idea. The only thing I would potentially question is whether Reece should have been in a more defensive position and Gusto could have been moved further forward, especially when you look at how knackered Gusto would have been, going up and down against those players. I think you could have potentially put Reece in a more defensive position with the bigger legs, and arguably he's a better defender. I think you could argue that, but arguably he's a better defender. So I maybe that's where you could criticise Poch.
So overall, you've got no complaints with Poch?
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not
I
at
have
all.
to commend how well you lot are like taking what Sanchez just did. Like, I feel like he's got blood on his hands for what he just did. You were cruising. Maybe there was an element of complacency involved. I don't know. But to me, Arsenal were not in the game. You outplayed them. I couldn't even see how they were getting back into the game. And then Sanchez just plays that ball to Declan Rice. Fantastic finish. Declan Rice still had to finish it. It was a great finish, but why? That's just a gift. If that was Vicario or Lloris, and I've seen him do that many times in the past, I'm losing my shit. You lot were quite calm about it.
No, I completely understand it. He's obviously at fault there, and obviously, the way it's worked out, he's almost cost us the game in doing that. But at the same time, we are strapped in for this ride. We're invested in this journey with Pochettino and with this current crop of players. And I think to alienate him now and say, right, you've cost us the game, and really stick the knives in on him would be completely wrong, because
I don't mean like that, but I just meant you lot were quite calm about it. It was just like,
for me, there was 2 other players that were at fault there. Enzo missed the pass; it went straight past him, right? So you can
wasn't a good pass.
You can apportion some blame to him, and then also Gallagher didn't make the challenge, didn't get to the
You
ball.
think Enzo had any part to play in that blame there? I think that was just a complete miss pass. It wasn't even near him.
I think he has to take a part of the blame.
Fair enough.
That's why I'm not
personally. I just look at it and I think, I completely agree with you. But again, like, I very much feel like, I know it sounds silly, but I've got a responsibility in the way I support my team. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've been spoiled over the years. We've been completely spoiled. We've had everything our own way for a long, long time. And now we're in a situation where, like, more so than ever, the team needs our support.
Yeah.
So I look at matches like that and I'm like, look, course, it isn't what I wanted. It isn't the outcome I wanted when we were sitting there after an hour cruising 2-0 up. But at the same time as that, I'm not going to throw my toys out the pram because I didn't end up getting the result I want. When actually, if you take away, I get it, the only thing that matters, which is the scoreline, the way we played today, I'm pretty proud of the boys.
Okay.
Like,
I agree. I think Chelsea played really well for the majority of that game, and it was actually the most impressed I've been with them by a mile since Pochettino come in. But to Craig's point, is there any part of you guys that is looking at that goalkeeper now thinking, I am doubting you moving forward.
No,
I don't.
I actually doubt him less than I was after about 2 matches in. And of course, it's going to raise eyebrows when I say that, when you see, well, look at what you just did. I understand that. But actually, I think with any goalkeeper, I think it's very hard to come in and hit the ground running, you know. We look at Courtois. Okay, he came in and hit the ground running. But we also look at other really good goalkeepers in the Premier League over the last however many years. You know, case in point would be David De Gea. He had a really poor first season with us. And you could say, well, Sanchez has already come from Brighton. But I just do very much think that there's going to be times when players who 1 week have put in a really good performance, like Sanchez has the last couple of weeks, are going to get things wrong. Levi Colwell has been putting in really good performances. Today he might have got something wrong. I think there'll always be them times, and I'm trying to avoid being a reactionary Chelsea fan that just wants to go mental that saying that didn't go our way has happened.
And also, let's just say, David Raya could have given away another goal with Palmer in the second half as well. And he arguably made 2 mistakes.
But before we go on Arsenal, I just wanted to get a bit of a roundup of Chelsea. Quarter of the season's gone, right? So we're definitely getting data. We learned a lot today, especially. They are sitting in 9th place. Man United still to play, so they could leapfrog them. So they could be sitting mid-table on 12 points. What would we rate Chelsea's season so far with Poch out of 10?
Well, if you're rating it as a whole...
And you can't say 7. I'm going to say that right now. Just say.
Okay.
Because people like the number 7. It's a really nice happy medium and it's non-committal.
Well, if you're rating it, there's so many different ways you can rate it, and I'll try not to be too long-winded with this. If you said before the season and you said, right, you haven't seen any of the game, you haven't got the context and how things have gone, and you're here now, you're going to go, God, that's like a 3 out of 10. If you see the context of the last few games and the way that we've actually massively changed, the way we're playing and the way we're holding our heads up as a team, I think you're more going to go, right, now, although you're saying I can't say it is going to be more like a 7, because now we're starting to see things going our way a little bit more, and we're starting to see a character build. At the moment, we talk about Man United, and it's a very easy one with Chelsea fans to go, well, we're better than Man United, but we are better than Man United. But if you look at Man United at the moment, you can't tell me how they play. How do they play? No one can really tell me what that Man United team does and what it does well at the minute and consistently doing it. At least with this Chelsea team, we've got a blueprint now. The problem is we've got a really hard run of fixtures, so that league position may not now change for the next however many games. But I would still say, because we're in with a chance, a very likely chance, in my opinion, of European football, whether it's Europa League or Champions League, you know, Europa looking more likely, I'm saying that I'm looking at things and I'm saying, if I can't say 7, then I obviously can't say 8, so I'm going to have to say 6.
Okay. What would you say, Josh?
I would say, with the expectations that we had before the season, like, I think overall it's been all right. So I'm going to go like a 6.5. Like, I'm not that impressed. We should be higher than we are. But as we say, like, the performances have been positive.
The performances have definitely got better.
We're building something. Yeah. Like, you said it yourself, right? You can see that it's a young squad. You can see that they are bedding in together, and we are kind of building something. We're on a journey. And this is why, like, I feel positive for the future, because I know that there's something there. I feel that we've got a good manager, we've got quality in the squad, and we've got youngsters that are going to improve rather than getting worse. Uh-huh. And so for me, it's like, yeah, we're not in the Champions League places, and that's why you could never, it would be insane to go anything over a 7. So I feel like it's like, yeah, it's good. 6.5 now. Let's see where it is halfway through the season.
I think a healthy way to look at it is to imagine you've drawn today with Man City, because ultimately Arsenal right now have the same point as Man City, and it's a different way of looking, because there's so much history with Arsenal, and there's this thing that people have in their head of the way they used to look at Arsenal. Arsenal fan, Jacob, how are you feeling about the season so far? You're on 21 points. You haven't lost a game yet. I mean, you're not thrilled with the performance today, but how would you view your season as a whole right now?
I find it really hard to evaluate this season. I'll be really, really honest with you, and that's going to sound mental, because today we were, you know, I think we're level with City at the top of the table now. At the start of the game, we were top of the table. We've made some big changes with the way that we're playing football this year. I think one thing we're doing is we're playing different each week. Last season, you could name the team, you knew how we were going to play football. We've played differently for each game. We were very defensive against City, against Spurs, we really pressed on. Today, I've got big questions about our midfield. I've got to be really honest with you. I've got big questions about our midfield. I've got really big questions about the way we create chances. I was saying about Chelsea. I was saying my thing with Chelsea, I'm watching this Chelsea team, off the ball, great. Press well, defend well, great. With the ball, I don't know how you attack. Like, if I'm saying to you, what is your method of attack? I don't know what the answer is, apart from get it wide and cross. In terms of Arsenal, mate, we're not getting it through the middle of the pitch. We're not creating...
Which was the norm last season, right?
Which was the norm last season. Last season, I think Martin Ødegaard was one of the best creative players in the league. This season, he doesn't look like a creative player. He just shoots. He scored a few goals.
Got subbed off when you were chasing the game.
Yeah, mate.
And that was seen as a bit of a questionable... Trossard came on.
Comes off the pitch and we scored 2 goals. It's going to sound mad, and there's going to be a lot of people watching this going, God, what a spoilt fan you are. You bang up there top of the league. You haven't lost a game yet. You've drawn 3.
You're wanting to be able to see where it's going, though, aren't you?
I've got long-term concerns in terms of this season about how we're creating chances. I got what I wanted today. I saw Jesus through the middle, Saka one side, Martinelli the other. Did it look good to you lot? Did it look great? Well, we came into this game and you said it yourself, Josh. You said, God, that is a worrying front 3. That's the front 3. Are you scared of that front 3? Are you scared of that front 3? You've got us in a couple of weeks at St James Park. Are you worried about that front 3?
Well, that's what I was saying when I was watching you guys. I thought that you were quite tentative in the game and that Chelsea physically were right at it and you guys didn't want the battle. And that for me was, that's what Newcastle do.
I don't think it's just the battle. I think we've got battling players in there. You're looking at one on the screen right now, Declan Rice. My thing is we had a player last season and he doesn't get spoken about because of certain things we alluded to earlier. He doesn't get spoken about as one of the best players in the league. Thomas Partey, as a footballer, is completely unique because he stands in that 6th position. He's big, strong, broad shoulders like a defensive midfielder. He plays like Thiago Alcantara. In terms of he receives on the half turn, drops a shoulder, beats a man, passes through the lines, finds Ødegaard, finds Jesus, and we're away. We've lost that. He's brilliant, Declan Rice. And today, the goal you saw him score today, that is Declan Rice all over. Quicker than Conor Gallagher, who, by the way, I thought was your best player today. Quicker than him to the ball, gets there, intercepts, bang, goal. And we're off and running again. And he is literally the heartbeat of this team right now.
In order to open the game up, though, you need that man who's going to commit players and take the ball forward.
Exactly.
And you were really lacking
exactly that. And we've lacked it a few times this season. Jorginho isn't it. And I'm not here to knock Jorginho, by the way. He's our 3rd choice holding midfielder. Name me a club in England who have a better 3rd choice holding midfielder than Jorginho. You haven't got one. My concern, and I alluded to it a little bit at the end of the game, this manager who has done so much for us, and I'm not here to cast aspersions on him. I'm not Arteta out. He's a young manager, and I want him to learn. I think he's still one of the novices in this league. I'm starting to see favouritism. I'm starting to see Jorginho starting today when there was no reason not to start Partey. I'm starting to see Ramsdale not even in the squad. Apparently it's an injury. I'm not really sure. He did an interview with The Guardian a couple of days ago. Didn't mention injuries there.
A couple of people are saying it's related to he's just had a baby.
Congrats.
Not himself. Not himself. Just
congrats. I will say. I remember good old Gabriel Magalhaes had a kid the night before a game, started the next day. I think.
Let's be honest. He wasn't going to play.
He wasn't going to play anyway. And I think if he'd have been in contention to start, babies can stay at home. The point is.
Beckham did.
I think it's time to start. I think Arteta has to. I think we maybe got lucky today. I'm going to be really honest with you. I think we actually got a little bit lucky today. I thought Trossard came on with a cape on his back, and I think we rescued 2 points. The reason I'm sat here miserable, I shouldn't be sat here miserable. I've just seen my team get outplayed for 82 minutes and then walk away with a point. I should be happy. The reason I'm miserable is because for a few weeks in a row now, I'm not seeing our football. I saw our football the whole season last season. We were mustard, mate. Cut through teams. We created more chances than anyone last season. I think we're about 14th in the league for chances created this year, and we don't look like an attacking threat. And that, for me, Arteta has to look in the mirror and ask himself some serious questions. Is Raya the guy? Is Partey the guy? There has to be some serious questions about the players he's putting on that pitch.
No, I appreciate that because a lot of people like to look at the end result and not the working out. And if the working out is wrong, but the end result is right, you can get away with it for a period of time. But like you say, it will get found out.
Our quality saved us today.
I've watched you guys a good few times this season, and against Spurs, it was very competitive. Today, you, in my opinion, weren't even the best side. And it wasn't like that last season. So something is changing, and I think you've made some really good points.
But I think 9 games undefeated. They played City, United, Chelsea, Spurs.
But it's about looking at the process.
I hear you, okay.
Beat City, beat United.
The level we're at now, by the way, I've just watched my team going by the most expensive English player ever over the summer. I've just watched us lead a league table for, 100 and something days last season. I'm sorry, but the standards have changed. I know that 9 games, 1-6, drawn 3 is good. I know it's good. We're up against Man City, mate. We're up against... And if you want to win this league against Man City, you have to be perfect. perfect. We saw Liverpool get 99 points in the season and not win the league. That is the level we're at now, and that's the reason. I know I'm being harsh.
No, but to your point,
I know I'm being
I'm sat here as a Newcastle fan thinking, we're getting you soon. If you play like that, we'll beat you.
You
Like
will.
Newcastle will at St James's beat Arsenal if they play like that. So that level isn't going to be good enough.
No, and I'll tell you what, there are senior players. Before the game, I was talking about Eddie and I was being harsh about Eddie. There have been other players that I've been harsh about. There are senior players. There are my favourites that were on that pitch today that were poor. Gabriel Jesus, that's the worst game I've seen him play in that shirt. And before this game, you were going, oh yeah, maybe Mudryk would put Martinelli through the middle. Mate, and I was laughing at you because I thought you're talking about Gabriel Jesus. He starts for Brazil, for God's sake. He was poor today. Ødegaard was poor today. Ødegaard was seriously poor. Ødegaard should have been looking at that game today going, what, Cole Palmer, you think you're a number 10 in the Premier League? Watch how it's done. He looked embarrassed today. He didn't look physical enough. I thought Caicedo was fantastic on him. I thought Caicedo did a really good job with all of our midfield. Saka, he sat in Cucurella's pocket for most of the game. Brilliant cross for the goal, but Martinelli got nothing on that left-hand side.
Yep.
Like our play, and the thing is, we spoke about Chelsea being a young team. Newsflash, we're actually younger. We've got a younger average age in our squad than Chelsea.
Especially the first team is young, and like I say, Martinelli might as well have not have even played today. I didn't notice him.
Well, one thing I will say, Martinelli, is he doesn't stop running. And when you're seeing Gusto forget about Trossard at the back post, I'd say a big part of that is the fact that he's had to run up and down for 85 minutes. And he's
he was knackered.
That's the whole point of Martinelli. I remember the Brighton game last season where he finally got one over Tariq Lamptey at the end of the game. Tariq Lamptey had done really well with him, and then Martinelli runs off him. It's how our wingers work.
Yeah.
That's the way that we attack. We just constantly go, and we will break you down. We got young players in that team, and the reason that we got so far last season is because whilst Martinelli's young and Saka's young and, they did so well, it's also Ødegaard scored 15 non-penalty goals last season and he needs to continue at that level. Jesus, as I said before the game, scored 1 in 2 last season. He needs to continue at that level. I also think you could ask a couple of questions about Zinchenko. Zinchenko is a serious player in that team. He's an adult. He's 26 years old. He's won titles with Man City. He was absolutely dreadful in the first half, I'll say that. Every good Chelsea attack came behind him. And he walks off at half-time. That's embarrassing, man. That's embarrassing.
It can only get better, really, though. Let's be real.
It will get better.
That's what I mean. So the fact that you're here, where you are, top of the table right now, right? Joint top of the table. Oh, who's top? You are Man City. Joint top of the table. And you're undefeated, and you haven't even been played. Look who is.
De Bruyne's on the UFC. We're going to wrap
Stay
it up
there, mate.
Anyway.
Get the page.
Big love to everyone who tuned in. Big thank you to the lads. It wasn't the best result for either team, but it was a hell of a fucking game. We'll be seeing you next weekend. Actually, I think we've got a midweek stream as well because my club are in the Champions League against Dortmund. That's going to be a good one. We'll see you there. Peace.